All right. I think we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to another Pokemon Wonder with Pokemon Rants. Today, we're going to travel through time from past to present and try to live the life of a successful game store owner. And we're going to do our best to try to navigate through the shark infested waters of the market, distribution, online versus in person, and much, much more. Mason has grinded his way to his current position and has rightfully earned the perspective of a pillar in the hobby and to whom many turn to. Mason, thank you so much for coming today and welcome to Pokemon Wonder.
Oh my goodness! Thank you for that, man. That was fantastic. I love that. Thank you.
Very welcome, sir. Well deserved. Well deserved. So, Mason, we're going to jump in as we typically do.
Sure.
But what my wife has always talked about when she watches the podcast, because I force her to, is to
Okay.
I have to have some constructive feedback, right?
Sure.
Um, she says you should, talk more about them as a person. And I said, yeah, I thought about that, and I would like to actually know because I don't see too much. I look back at your YouTube. You go back about 3 years. Your first, at least published video, looks at your website, and I think you were just, transitioning to some new things and new technologies at the time, and that was 3 years ago. But I
Yeah.
didn't get to see your kind of origin story. So where did you kind of start, Mason? Not just in the store, but as yourself, like in the hobby and
All the way
playing
back.
through this.
All the way.
Yeah. Let's go back. Christmas morning,
Ooh.
1985. No.
Wow. Jeez. Before I was born. No. uh, no. Yeah. I mean, I like many 30-somethings out there. I of course grew up with Pokemon. Uh,
You're 30 something.
yeah. 30, 35. I'm 35.
Oh
So
man, everybody
I
makes
am.
me feel so old.
Oh, come on. You know, grew up with it as a kid. Remember going to school and going through like sixth grade, and everybody bringing their Pokemon cards, and you know, uh, uh, obviously, kids being kids, they Lord of the Flies it, and then they get banned, and then you gotta like do it in secret, and then we were like secrecy, doing it, trading cards in the bathroom and stuff like that. It's kind of underground after that. It's kind of a fun way to do it, and there's always trading was always fun. I didn't really care about collecting things. I just thought, trading things was always a fun part of it. I guess that's where part of my business kind of kicked off. I don't know, but grew out of it, or at least put it away. Kept my binders, didn't sell it off. I just put them away.
Okay.
When I moved across the country when I was 21, when I married my wife, I inherited some kids, and the youngest one really liked looking at my collection of cards, and then went on to want to get into playing the game and sit down and actually learn it. And we were pretty good for a little while he was still interested in it. We went up to back when they had nationals, was in Indianapolis, right here in Louisville. So it's a 2-hour drive up to Indy, and they wanted to play in the national championship, and we did that. It was fun.
Nice.
We had a great time.
Nice.
They got absolutely destroyed. That's okay. We had a great time.
What year was that, by the way?
When was that? Oh, that's probably
roughly
2017. Sounds right. 2018, somewhere. It's probably somewhere in there.
Okay.
But as kids always do, much like I did, they grew out of it, moved on, went into something else. Now he's into Yu-Gi-Oh, which is like, I'm thinking, where did I go wrong? Them wanting to be into Yu-Gi-Oh.
You lost him.
Yeah, just got lost along the way, and I can't put that wholly on me, but I do feel responsible a little bit. But anyways, when he grew out of it and moved on to something else, you have the collection of all the stuff in your binders and all the stuff from playing, and you're like, okay, well, how do I get my money back out of this, or how do I recoup or move this along to try to not completely lose the thousands of dollars we bought buying packs and buying boxes and all this stuff. And this was black and white era. This is like
nice
rough boxes opening. And, you got like
one hit per case,
5 or 6 hits out. Yeah, it was just bad. So we spent a lot of money on these cards, and we had a pretty decent collection. So I was looking around, I was going through looking on eBay and selling them. I ended up selling them on eBay, and I was, hey, these are moving pretty good. There's still people that want these, and they hold value pretty well. and I went through my old collection, and I sold off my old collection, which is like, whoops, now.
Yeah.
But wish I had those back. But it is what it is.
Nothing like a page of like Shadowless first edition Charizard's gone for $50.
No,
Right?
I didn't have the only Charizard I ever pulled was a base set 2. In the back of my parents' car, I remember it is a base set 2 Charizard. That's pretty sick. But and then I sold my old stuff, and I was like, okay, so new stuff for Pokemon is selling, old stuff for Pokemon is selling. Why don't I go through and just go on Craigslist at the time, and Facebook Marketplace was kind of picking up a little bit, and getting on there and buying collectibles off people, and then flipping it on eBay, right? And that's how I kind of got started in building and buying and selling Pokemon. So that's how my whole business kind of started, and I was doing this by myself for a while. Then eventually I got with my business partner Zach. He was doing video games on eBay out of his garage, and he put out a post and just said, "Hey, I want to start a game store. I've always wanted to," and he knows Magic as well. So he's like, "I'm going to do video games and Magic, and then whatever else people want to do, or whatever people have knowledge bases in, whatever I want to do." I had not met him. I have not talked to him up to this point. I just reached out to him and said, "Hey, man, yeah, I do Pokemon. I'd be into it. Let's talk it out. Let's see where it goes. Right? I got nothing else going on."
Was this the same guy I saw at the Collecticon?
Yeah,
that was with you.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
And we initially met at a coffee shop, and we had us and 2 other dudes there at the time, and then it went down to 1 other guy, and then it was just me and Zach. Eventually, after talking back and forth, and we're like, well, it's just you and me now. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do. So that's where CardNAllGaming started. Cardinal being both the pun of Cardinal and then Cardinal for here in Louisville. The sports team is the Cardinals. Right. So that was mine. I'll take that. And then also made the logo. That was me too. So
perfect.
Yeah. So that's where we started, and then here we are now. So there's a lot of things that happened in between there and there, but I'm sure we'll talk about that here in
we'll dive into a few.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt the thought process here, but I'm not seeing comments in StreamYard. So are you able to see them?
No, I'm not.
Because I'm seeing them on YouTube. Yeah, that's strange.
It says YouTube does not support comments on private videos.
Yeah, I looked. It's public. Yeah, privacy is public.
Weird. Well, I just thought I was just rolling so awesome that nobody wanted to interrupt me, but I guess we should. I'll pop it up.
Let me just check it. Yeah, I was just gonna see if there's anything I can change to that. I like to pop them up as people are talking, but just a quick little troubleshoot here, everybody. 1 second. Don't see it's set to public. Unfortunately, I'll keep looking at it while we're going through, see if I can fix this, everybody. So apologize if I don't pull your comments up, but I'll definitely be speaking to them regardless. So I just won't be able to maybe pull them up on screen. Yeah, looks like.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just look into it, I can address the chat as you want to dig a little bit if you want to.
Okay.
iFumbles here says more lives from me. I know. Look, my schedule changed recently. I had to take over the newest store, so I'm kind of just like all over the place. I'm settling into getting things back together, so I'll get back to a better flow of things where I can actually plan things out. So that's the goal here.
Looks like Mr. Walrus is he's saying you ditched him at Denver, so this better be a good one.
No. I did not cancel. I never planned to go to Denver, but I would have liked to, but I just didn't. I didn't want to, or I didn't have the inventory. Honestly, I didn't really have all the stuff. But
I'll try to flip back and forth, and just if you see something good, just bring it up, and we'll inject them verbally into the conversation. So going back to your story, this then transition, much like it sounds like, from just interacting with your inherited children, having some Pokemon fun, run into a tournament, trying to get rid of the cards that you bought, not lose your money, and then you said, let's just start a store. Why not? Well,
yeah. Had I not probably ran into Zach, I probably would have still just bought and sold collections on just as on a side thing. But it did present an opportunity for me to do something bigger and make an actual a living actually doing it instead of like a side hustle kind of thing. So that's cool.
What were you doing at the time as far as an actual job?
At the time, I was doing security at a hotel,
Okay.
and then I ended up working at the hotel, and then I went and moved on to, while doing all this as well, I went and worked at TSA at the airport hill. So I was doing that. I did that for 8 years.
I could see you being the TSA agent that just tells you to throw all your stuff in the trash. You can't bring that in here. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong line.
This
go
shampoo is too big, sir. We got to move along here. And yeah, that was me. It was a great job. Perfect. I love that job. It was awesome. For a federal job, it was pretty chill, all things considered.
There you go, everybody. TSA agent turned card salesman.
Look, I was actually not the only person to do that at our airport. Somebody else did it and went and did sports in the big sports boom. So he's probably out there doing better than I am because he was just doing it online. So good for him. But I'm with brick and mortar, and that's it's fine. I joke and we have fun about it, and I'm sure we'll talk about the intricacies of all that. But it is definitely a different experience than what I thought it would be, and growing has also been a different experience than what I thought it would be as well.
Yeah, I think we're going to dive quite deep into that topic, but I was also curious. You've worked several years into the business before you quit your actual full-time job.
No, yeah, right? So, I just quit probably. Shoot, I think in March it'll be 2 years or 3 years. God, time flies. Jesus, that's forever ago.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I've been doing CardNAll has been a thing for 8 years now. So yeah, I was doing that for
8 years. Wow.
5 or 6 years before, doing both.
Yeah.
Working at the airport, it was nice because I would work in the mornings, airport's open, super, 4 a.m. I get off around noon, and then I'd be grinding out eBay listings, buying collections, doing stuff like that till like 10 o'clock at night.
And crash for about 4 hours.
We just, that was the lifestyle for a long time. Yeah. So
yeah, I can share the pain and the tears. I can see just right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's what it is. These days you do not start a business. You don't go up to a bank and say, "Hey, I want $500,000 of start a business or $250,000, whatever it is." It's not a thing anymore. You don't do that. You have to start from what you have or whatever little collateral you have and build. You got to snowball it into a snowman. That's the way it has to go because they just don't give out business loans like they used to like that anymore. It's not a thing.
Great analogy. I love it.
Yeah.
Is my camera froze up too? I'm having all kinds of technical issues here.
Oh man, look at this.
Yeah.
It's
It's one of those days.
Well,
all right, I'll work on that too. Let me stop it and restart it. But while I do all that, let's go back to probably. I was just joking with you before we started the podcast, and you were watching. I think what we had there with Brian at Pokey.
Yeah,
and I've had a few comments since then, and we were somewhere in the midst of the conversation where he was buying on credit card that is, and flipping some orders, back and forth. And you made a comment that this was a terrifying business model. So let's roll back to that and tell us what your thoughts are.
I know that is a tall statement coming from me, but yeah. I've just seen the most interesting thing that I took away from that, because this is what I'm passionate about. This is like this realm is also. I just am lucky enough to have a business in it as well. If I didn't have a business, I'd also be interested in it just because I am naturally interested in card stuff, right? But just how businesses operate and how, brick and mortar versus online versus, importers versus stuff like that. I mean, that's all super interesting to me, and how they make it work, and, making connections and getting outlets for things, and distribution in English is hard enough to get something for. To get it in Japanese product is
much less.
It's crazy. That's and awesome and good for him. Obviously, that's because that's you found a good one, and they you stuck it with them, so that's good.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was really taken aback by is the same cycle of doing things like taking pre-orders for product that you just have to or you just hope that they're being honest with you and being fair with you and giving you an accurate number.
Right.
Any sort of number of things can happen. And we saw this lead up into as the pandemic was starting, and we were, brick and mortars were saying, oh yeah, we get this, we always get this, we get the same amount of stuff all the time, yada, yada, yada. Right. And then the shutdowns happened and product stopped flowing like it was. Pokemon started doing things in waves, and then those waves never came. And then it's just these stores and businesses that use this pre-order money to operate on. It's just basically pay your operating cost until you get the product in.
Upfront loans. Yeah.
You're basically that is the capital that you have working is based on a promise of that you're going to get something.
Future.
That's scary. That's a scary thing because you're already spending your profits before you get them. And then if you don't get those products, multiple stores got in lots of trouble when those products stopped coming, and they took all these pre-orders because they just were used to getting that much product, and that's something they've always bought, and it was a huge problem for a lot of stores. And I think one of the first things that like Rattle was talking about was stores that did this and stuff like that. So it's not unheard of for that to happen. And Pokemon is talking about shutting down distribution to people that sell outside of the country, outside of Japan and stuff like that. I'd be a little nervous trying to continue as business has always been if I was in his situation, but that's fine. It's if it's who am I to tell him it's going to be different? What do I know? I don't know what I'm going to get. 151 a restock next. So
English, that is.
Right, exactly. So for him to be able to project out and take pre-orders for that, good for him.
Yeah, and I think he spoke about it a little bit there in the beginning. It was quite risky in terms of those initial orders and trying to get the capital rolling. But once he had that relationship in there, it sounded as if, and we didn't get too much into that detail, but it sounded as if he wasn't doing so many pre-orders after he had some regular inventory flowing in. But yeah, definitely in the beginning, it could have been really bad or really good. I'm glad it worked out for him. Yeah.
Everything works until it doesn't. That's the thing. That's businesses in general. They get used to doing things a certain way, and then it stops doing that. So
I meant to ask him.
That's the concern I have.
Ryan, if you're around, make sure you follow back up with me, because I wanted to know how the impact of the Japanese kind of shutdown that Mason mentioned was going to impact you, because shutting down the sellers and stuff out of Japan is going to be a tough one. All right, so let's go back to your business though, because I was just curious on that one. I had to pull back a little bit on the thread to see what was behind your thought process. But so you've been in business for 8 years now. You got a business partner. What's your business partner's role? Is he there at the store with you, at the cash register, or what does he do?
Zach does still doing a lot of stuff with the video game side of things, and we do a lot with video games. We're not just a card store. We do, I know that's the in CardNAll is the all is all gaming. So we do a lot of stuff with video games, new and old. Repair is a big part of our business as well. So he's the guy that repairs everything. We also do like custom PC builds, gaming computer builds, stuff like that. We do some more like business to business repairs of stuff for other companies here locally. There's a
lot behind the all.
That's what it takes. Is that's the diversification that you need to get this all stuff to work. Because if Scarlet and Violet has been an indication, things are not.
I knew
good.
That was coming.
It is not good all the time, and you have to have different avenues to lean on for it to keep working. So a lot of the stuff is, for as long as things have been, and as long as like distribution has been a thing, and like Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh has been a thing, there's a lot of ups and downs and unpredictability for this stuff. It's kind of weird at how secretive it still is, and that's kind of why I started my YouTube channel, is that they're not very open about how this stuff operates. They're printing allotments, or how much they're printing, the print numbers, how many boxes they're making, how many packs they're making. we hear these little snippets every year from Pokemon, how many single cards they printed, right?
Right.
But we never know if that's all, is half of that energy cards, is half of that, code cards. We don't know, right? So
Right.
it would
What part of that
be in
stuff
their
doesn't
best
even make it?
interest, you would think, to be a little bit more open and talk about the type of stuff. I'm saying, hey, we're going to print 151, and it's going to be slim at first, but our hopes is to get to the same numbers of what Crown Zenith is, for example. If they came out and stuff said like that, that makes sense to me. That's something I can work off of. I can predict the type of that kind of structure. But when Magic comes out and says, okay, we just did an awesome job on Lord of the Rings, right? I don't know if you're familiar with.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah.
Okay, so Lord of the Rings, awesome set, right? It was one of the best Magic sets. Could be the best Magic set ever made. And obviously, stores, everybody did very well on it. And then they are immediately double dipping back into that product here in the holiday season. They're re-releasing even another special collector's booster, and they're making the super rare foiling, the Surge foils in Lord of the Rings. They're reprinting those and making them more common in this holiday set. So
perfect.
The things that are driving these type of factors, and I still have Lord of the Rings. I've been buying Lord of the Rings products, and then they come out with this information. I've not sold a single pack of Lord of the Rings since they've announced that.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Why? Why would you do that? Why couldn't you just let this happen? And the same thing with Pokemon. We would come along and they say, okay, this is the next set. Here it comes. Pre-release is about to start, and they start spoiling the next set for Pokemon. And then people get distracted. And then I got to worry about people thinking about the next set while they're trying to buy the next set that I'm trying to push.
The one that hasn't
hasn't
come out yet.
Focus. We got to sell. I got to sell this stuff before we even look at that.
I want you to buy this booster box, please.
Yes. I have 200 of these I still have to sell, please, before we move on to something else. Let's just it's very stressful, and it's very it's guesswork. I'm doing the best I can with the very little information that I have and the little information that I can share with people. And then the whole YouTube sphere of influencing being the first to put news out there. Something that does very good with it is Pokemon Radio or PTCG Radio. Rants, he does a great job on his channel. Yeah, but also the guys that come out here and just talk on hype stuff and this set's gonna suck. This set's gonna be good. Paradox Rift is gonna be a terrible set, just like all the other ones. We don't even know what's in half the set. We don't know what's gonna be in 2/3 of the set yet, and they're already saying it's gonna be a bad set. And it puts a bad taste in people's mouths even before I'm taking pre-orders for it. Release. How am I supposed to sell things and pre-order things if people are talking bad about it already?
You have to get on and pump it up, man.
It's an insane. And then I get all these comments on my YouTube channel about how I try to pump stuff. I still get those comments where I'm the most negative person and the most honest and real of anybody that's out there. I still get comments like that. Oh, you're just trying to talk this shit up so you can sell more. I just told you it could be the worst set of all time. I don't know. That's just YouTube comments in general, though. Anyways, what was the question?
Yeah. There wasn't one. There wasn't a single.
Pokemon Rants, is it not?
It is. We're ranting.
Back into.
It's in the name.
I'm fulfilling my side.
Well, let's actually talk about that, because I think we've all watched Rudy, and he has obviously his point of view on leadership and how companies are ruining it. And tell me if I'm wrong, because you would have a better indication than I. I see, for example, Magic, Wizards of the Coast, shooting themselves more in the foot chasing financial gain, where I see Pokemon somewhat intentionally doing what they do on purpose because they're at the top and they know they have to go through a down cycle in order to give you the up cycle.
Yes.
Do you see it differently?
No.
I don't think they're as financially hungry, I guess is really what I'm saying.
I don't know. I have no idea. Again, this is part of the guesswork that we all have to do.
Yeah.
Even from a base level. As far as the higher ups, who knows, right? Who knows? But I think Rudy does a pretty good job of letting people think of things from different perspectives that they would not normally have. I do as well. I try to anyways, right? I try to give you a business owner or store owner's perspective of all this Pokemon crap that everybody wants to know about. that information that I know, and I would hope if anybody knows anything, it's going to be somebody like me, or at least somebody that they're getting it from somewhere. And I would hope that my sources are just as valid or just as creditable as somebody else's, right? Of anybody's. So obviously Rudy has, just the amount that he buys, and I'm sure he talks to people all the time and gets all this, stuff that he's as knowledgeable and as credible as anybody as far as informational things, but he does go off the rails a little bit and kind of, to get the old the fedora out here. I'm gonna get the old. He should just have this on
there.
For like
there you go.
All of his videos.
They asked for it.
That's just kind of that's a shtick though, right? That's what he put out there. That he's for entertainment. So that's kind of like his vibe. And look, I'm no Rudy. Can't really be. He's way bigger and just in every way than I am, but it definitely is entertaining to watch and to try to participate in the conversation.
Yeah, I've watched over the course of the past year or so, and I've looked back at the cycle, and I did a video on it once, but I looked back at the Pokemon cycle over every series and every set. Yeah. And tried to find some madness and some logic in there. I can't even see what that is. What is that?
Oh, hold on. Here he goes.
Eevee.
My little Flareon. Oh, he's cropped out. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it's cropped out. Yeah.
He's just a floating head then right now.
Perfect. It's like a beanie. But yeah, and they have a cycle.
It's just goofy.
They have a bit of a cycle, at least from what I can tell. Now, it's not always consistent, but they seem to always put out a few bad sets. Not bad. It's just not as hype sets as usual. And then they have some really good ones, and they typically stagger those near the end, and then a few somewhere in the middle.
So I have a theory.
What are your thoughts? Okay, please.
I have a theory.
You need your hat again?
No, I'm pretty confident on this one. So
okay.
A lot of that has to do, I think, it's just me. There is most people like new stuff, right? Everything's new. They like new mechanics, when they make like a new EX or V or alt arts or a new rarity type or whatever. People are super into that. What they don't like is new Pokemon. They don't like new Pokemon. It takes them a while to warm up to them. It takes a long time sometimes to warm up to them. You got to make all the DLCs. You got to make, you think of like some sort of like sequel or something like that. People have to see all these Pokemon in all these other settings that we've seen. Pikachu and Eevee and all these other guys, on products, on brands, on things. And people may look at the next, I'm going to make up a box. I'm going to make up a, Bramblin. My buddy, my little tumbleweed friend from the new game. Oh, see, it's cropped out again. Sorry. The tumbleweed Pokemon that's from Gen 9. Nobody likes Bramblin. I love Bramblin, but I'm one of the few, right? It takes people a while to get used to seeing Bramblin around and all these products and all these things and in a EX box has terrible value and stuff like that. It takes them a while to look at this and be like, oh yeah, that is a Pokemon. That's cool.
Yeah. It takes a while. Oh yeah, I like that one.
And it starts with kids. Yeah. Bramblin is basically like the new, oh God. Trevenant, that kind of thing. It's a grass ghost Pokemon. It's the same thing. And you can draw lines and parallels to all these things too, where it's like, okay, in every generation, there's slots that they fill with certain Pokemon, right? And they drop like, okay, this is like the grass evolution line, like Oddish. Oddish is like the olive Pokemon that's here now. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's all the same stuff. They have slots that they fill. And the TCG does that as well. There's mechanics and things that they put out. Radiant Pokemon, same thing as Amazing Rare Pokemon, which is like the Prism that they came out with. It's all the same kind of stuff. So they just have to keep swapping things in and get used to all these Pokemon being established for a couple years, and then people kind of warm up to them, and then people get nostalgic for them, and then you got to go back, like we're doing with Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon, and people are like, "Oh, we were eating good back then. We didn't even know. We didn't even know what we were doing.
We need that tumbleweed. Where is it at?"
Right. Look, when they're on Gen 12, people are going to love Bramblin because that's how it normally goes. But I think that has a lot to do with it. And it's the same thing. Sword and Shield was the same way. We had all Zacian and Zamazenta. People thought they were stupid. They were dumb. It's a dog with a sword in its mouth, and he's a shield. Who cares, right? But now, Zacian and Zamazenta, they've had 1 million cards made of them. They're on tons of product. They've been out in the face of these games for years and years. Kids like Zacian and Zamazenta.
They love him. Yeah,
Kids
they love
like
him.
Melmetal. Of all the Pokemon,
Yes.
kids like Melmetal. And they ask for
Just-
Melmetal by name. And they like Umbreon. And they like all these other guys that we all like too, right? But there's always these new guys that are sprinkled in there too. And sometimes we're just boomers. And we got to remember, like, kids are driving the hobby. These kids are going to grow up and start buying things. And when we're on Gen 12, all the Gen 9 Pokemon kids that grew up with them, that's what they're going to want and be nostalgic for. So, and Pokemon
all right.
So they're smart about that. So it just takes a little while. They got to grow
so
up.
They're throwing in the cards.
They got to be able to get money, and then they'll start spending their money.
Get out the games, get out the new cartoons, give it some time. Then it's time for some reprints and some Bramblin. I got it.
Yeah, and then they start, pushing the new Pokemon like they always do, like they did in Sword and Shield with, Sword and Shield base. What was that? Burning Shadows. God, what was the next one? Champion's Path, all that crap. They kicked out Champion's Path. Charizards, right? Charizards, all the basic stuff that we always like. And they just sprinkle in all the Kanto stuff. And they sprinkle in 151, for example. They sprinkle all this stuff in, and then it gets everybody back into the ecosystem and then buying things, noticing Pokemon again. And they're like, oh, shoot, that's cool. That's cool looking. I like this. I remember that guy. I played that game. It all comes back around.
And that's exactly why I think they're not shooting themselves in the foot quite the same as Wizards of the Coast is for the money. I think they're quite a bit more strategic than some of the other ones that I think are just chasing the dollar bills.
Are we going to lose people if we talk about Magic, do you think?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, go for it.
So Magic is, and if you look at Hasbro is always been like a universes beyond business. How many different versions of Monopoly is there? A million, right? Every freaking franchise has a Monopoly. They've always done this. They've done this with every Chutes and Ladders. They've done this with, I don't know other board games they have. I have no idea, but they're all branded the same stuff. Rick and Morty crap. I mean, it's all in there. So it only makes sense that Magic would come along and do the same exact thing. It's not going to take long before isn't there like a Denny's Magic collab? Is that not a thing? It's different pancakes, and then you could go to Denny's and you can have these different planeswalkers branded of pancakes.
Are you serious?
They're just blueberry pancakes, but they're like Jace pancakes because he's blue, right? So it's
it's hilarious.
It's not. I'm pretty sure I saw this. It may have been photoshopped, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's the thing, right? I see all these goofy things, and then you hear about Fallout coming and Final Fantasy coming and all this different stuff. It's like nothing sounds crazy anymore because it can happen. Shoot, why can't you have a steak sandwich at Arby's with Gideon on it? I don't know, like I don't know. Why not?
Let's get a Frodo burger,
like,
right?
Look, you can give Hasbro all the crap you want, but they push some branding. They know how to push branding and get people into buying Monopoly for the 10th, 12th time. Like, it's what they do. So it's what they do, and they're good at it. And they're going to do it to Magic because that is absolutely their biggest moneymaker right now. It's their most unique thing, and that's what they're going to do. They got to grow the player base somehow. There's a saturation point when you have a 30-year-old game, right? People that are going to get into Magic, if they haven't got into it yet,
that's it.
Organically, you got to kind of pull them in somehow. So if you're going to do it with D&D, like why there wasn't a D&D set for 20 years made no sense to me. Like what? Why would you not integrate these two things where Magic was created to play in between D&D sessions? Why would it take so long for them to finally blend those together? So they're starting to see the light, right? They're trying to figure it out, and they're trying to see where cross promotion, cross branding is how you get to those people that maybe have heard about Magic, but they didn't think it was for them. There's plenty of people that walk into my store and say, man, these new D&D sets, they make Magic look really fun and look really cool. And I understand, and I identify with those characters, and it makes sense to me. So they buy into it and they start getting interested in it. Same thing with, they say it's the waifification of Magic, where they're putting all these anime, arts and stuff like that,
right?
Really pushing to Japanese players and trying to get Japanese players into them. They've been doing that since Strixhaven, right? But trying to pushing to get into markets that they know if they had awareness of them and they had a reason or something that pulled them into the game, they would get into it and start playing, and they'd play for forever, life, right? and really kind of get ingrained into the game. And then they haven't, right? Because that's a good thing about TCGs is that people are always, they might quit and come back. My partner, Zach, he's getting back into Magic for the 8th time since we've opened our business. He sold his cards and then bought them all back again, sold them off, bought them back. That's the cycle of TCGs. That's how businesses like me can stay in business, is because people sell off all their stuff. They have a cooling off period for like 6 months, a year, 2 years, and they come back. Or their buddies start playing again. Or there is an IP or a set that they really like and want to get into. It's the same thing. It's all once you start playing and once that's a part of you and you have like nostalgic memories of it, like going to a game store and like playing it in games and playing in tournaments, you get nostalgic for it. And it brings them back. It brings them all back. And then they remember that, they come back and they're like, oh man, this was fun. Why did I ever leave? That's the type of feeling that you have to keep trying to push the envelope and try to keep getting those brands into that. And kind of, while those people are cycling in and out, there's always going to be a constant stream of that. But then getting more people that has otherwise not ever been into it to get back into the game or try to have that appeal. So Fallout, it's going to be great for the game. The Final Fantasy already has a TCG. Why would they want to do this? Because probably Hasbro threw a ton of money at them, and then
they say, "Oh, okay,
we're gonna make a cloud as a planeswalker." That's like,
perfect.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing. Like, just wait for it, and it's gonna be cool.
Gonna be good.
Yes.
It's gonna be good.
So that's the type of thing. But the chat's going pretty well. But I wish you could pull them up because it's really sucks that
I do too.
Aren't able to pull them up, but
just in case you join everybody, sorry, we can't pull up the chat, so we're trying to look at them and glance at it.
We will talk to you, I promise. But yeah. Again, Rants. I'm sorry, but
no, that's okay. That's okay. And I think Pokemon went through that same period, and we're just at the point now where they're seeing a lot of the fruits of their labor, and I think that's the difference. That's just not where Hasbro is right now.
That is what I always said about Pokemon: is that it is a multi-generational game. People can, when they grew up with it as kids, same thing with me. My kids got into it, right? And then I'm back into it. And then, they get a little bit older. They get money. They buy things, and they get back into it. You kind of like double dip nostalgia when a kid becomes a teen or a young adult. They start collecting all the things they had as a kid, because that's what humans do. And then they have kids, like 10 years later, and then they have their kids, and they start getting their kids into it. And then it's again, you're taking a snowball and you're making a snowman with it as it rolls down the hill of all these people who are getting into this game. And that's why Pokemon is so strong as an IP. Magic is less so. Magic, there are kids that like Magic and there are kids that like and enjoy Magic, and I think probably the branding stuff and all the stuff that they're doing probably is going to help that too.
It's going to help,
But Pokemon is like no other, where they'll make the Charizards, they'll make the Charizard sets, they'll make all that stuff to bring those people back. They'll make the 151s. They'll make the Hidden Fates. And then they'll bring everybody back. And it's if you look at like a timeline, it's every like 3 to 5 years they'll have like a big push, celebrations, things like that.
Exactly.
All these things
it's a
pulling people back.
set. Yeah.
It's genius. It's a genius thing that it's at this point it's like self-propelling. They don't even have to like really do anything different or anything groundbreaking.
It's on the calendar reminder. Oh, hey guys, we gotta make that set again.
It's exactly like that. They're gonna let it sit, and then they're gonna push Charizard set, like they did with this Obsidian Flames. It was a bad set. It was probably one of the most. It was one of the worst sets of all time, I think. Like from like a fundamental like gameplay, and also like from like a identity standpoint, it was very bad. But 151 though,
that's pretty good. We're gonna look back at that one. Yeah,
151 is a genius. It's a genius play. Again,
I love it. Artwork's beautiful.
You sell a binder and you tell people, "Here's 151 Pokemon. Fill that binder with all those Pokemon."
Exactly.
Like that's all you had to do. That's all you had to do.
Okay. And we're only gonna give you 4 packs.
and there's your 4 packs, and then you got to buy the Mew UPC to get the Mew and Mewtwo that you want, that you were nostalgic for, that you hacked the game, or you looked under the truck in red and blue to get the Mew. You have to buy a $120 product to get those 2 cards that you want. We
did. We liked it though. It was a blast.
They got us.
Yeah. Yep. Oh shucks. Yeah, PA
Yep.
Pokemon pulls. He says, yeah, we got back in with the celebrations. It pulled him back in. Not gonna lie. Exactly. That's the point.
They
That's
know
exactly the
that.
point.
Like that's
Yeah.
the plan. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing for sure.
All right. We're gonna get off our soapbox on that one for just a
Sorry.
second. We might hop back on later. No. I like it. I enjoy it. We'll take this wherever it goes. Wherever it goes. Let's go back to the business though. How much
Sure.
capital did you have to get started? Because opening a store, is no small task, man.
Zach had his inventory, which is a lot more value wise than I had. He had, shoot, I have it in spreadsheets somewhere. I don't remember what even the totals were at this point. $3,000 worth of stuff.
Oh, really?
Like
Okay.
not a. And remember, back then this stuff was cheaper too.
Right.
This was before the big like vintage video game thing of like
hype. Okay.
2018
you said, right?
Yeah. So it was actually kind of like as all that was ramping up. So we kind of got lucky on that. So
very lucky.
And then I probably had I had a pretty decent inventory of stuff that I had just from buying collections and flipping stuff but it was probably, if it was $2,000 worth of stuff,
okay,
I'd be surprised. Like it was not.
Wasn't that much? Okay.
Yeah, it was not a lot. And like I said, we took what we had, we smushed it together, and then we were like, okay, we're gonna hit Facebook, we're gonna hit Craigslist, we're gonna buy collections, do the little things that, like, I remember getting our first office space. It was, he said it was 450 square feet. It was not 450 square feet. Looking back at it, there was no way. Maybe if he's down the hallway and the bathroom and like all that stuff and like the main like common use area, maybe.
You know how men are with
it was not
sizes.
It was like no, there's no way. But anyways, had a little office space and I'm looking at it. We're looking at the lease and we're like, how on earth are we gonna pay $450 a month? Just like looking back at it now, it's just like that's impossible. How can we make that much money? There's no way. Obviously, the way that you do it was not taking income for 5-6 years, and then
don't pay yourself forever.
Right, and then working 16-hour days. That's how you did it. But yeah, it's funny how we buy something for $450 every couple of days. Like what? Like who cares?
Now,
it's like whatever.
Do,
like, yeah, we have to have it. Like
dropping $40,000 on the new set.
Exactly. Yes. So, it's
Mr.
wild.
Walrus says, Mason, when are you going to start a podcast with him so you can discuss the trials and tribulations of pigeon racing?
Look, jeez.
I don't know what that reference is,
I'm surprised. No one ever came out to me and asked if I wanted to be on a podcast ever. As far as like a regular thing. Surprised. Just saying it. Throwing it out there. If anybody wants to, I'm busy, but I'm not that busy.
He's on Discord. If he cut his Discord time in half, he'd have plenty of time for a constant live.
It's true. That is very true, actually.
Very, very active, man. There was your invite there, Mr. Walrus. You can start your pigeon racing podcast anytime. So let's go back then. So you started at 420 imaginary square feet. And then when did you move into an actual larger store? When did that occur? Like a year later?
We
2 years later?
from the 450 square feet office space. We were in there for probably, it wasn't very, like 4 or 5 months maybe, before we were just like, God, we gotta do something better. We gotta have an actual space. And we had, we had the folding white tables and like a folding chairs for like in like an entryway for people to like come in and just sit while we bought things from them or whatever. And then we had like another, again, it was like it should have been like a common area where people walked in, right? And kind of like went to the different offices, but it wasn't. It was just like our space. So it was just like we had bought some like store fixtures that were all beat up and dirty and gross. And we cleaned them up and we put our product in, our eBay listings and all of our stuff on that. And that was how we were doing it for a while. And we just needed more space. There's no way that we could continue to operate in that space. So
operating in the lobby area of a business, that way everybody had to walk through your area.
This guy was like, yeah, give me $450. Yeah. And then,
sure.
So we moved up into an actual, I say actual store. It was probably more of also like office space, but we had like glass displays where people could actually come and shop.
Perfect.
700 square feet.
Ooh, those were actual square feet or imaginary as well?
Again, maybe probably fudging it a little bit, but yeah, it was. We had lined the length of the walls with glass cases. Then we had like a checkout place, which was just a lifetime table with a cash register on it. And if we tried, we could put 2 folding tables down the middle, and then put chairs that like people have to be careful to not knock the glass cases, but you could actually have people come in and play.
That was like the start of your gameplay.
That was it. That was the space that we had.
I love it.
So that's how that's what we moved into, and it was great. Like we tried our best to, and we've always tried to be really neat and organized, and try to make it where yes, we have a disaster, but we're gonna cover it up.
An organized disaster.
Yeah, we're gonna hide it from people. There's no way to hide that there. We had like a sliding door closet kind of space where we could put product. There's no way that we could hide it that way. So we just had stuff in plastic totes, cardboard boxes, just stacked up in the back wall. And people just come in and we put them on the tables in the middle, and then people just dig through them and just grab stuff. Hey, how much is for this? Or hey, what's this? Or
it was like a mobile yard sale.
And people love that. Even now, in my 7,000 square foot store, I could have a cardboard box in the middle sitting on a table. I could have all my $700,000 worth of product on my walls and in my glass cases. That person is going to walk over to that cardboard box and start digging through it. I'm like, hey, is this for sale? Can I look through? I'm like, man, look something else. Like,
well, I think you just touched it. I think you touched on something special there, Mason. You have to convert your store to an indoor yard sale.
Look, I guarantee you that is $1 million part of the enjoyment for a lot of people. They want to dig. They want to find whatever it is.
It's the hunt. It's the treasure find.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what it is for a lot of people, I think, is going out and trying to find things in the wild. And I tell people this all the time too, where there's going to come a time where people are nostalgic for like the product shortages and going around to Walmarts and Targets and like trying to find Pokemon products. People are in a couple of years are going to be nostalgic for that. And like, man, that was so cool when I went with my dad or went with my mom and went around to all the Walmarts and tried to find product. People are going to want to experience that again. I don't know how you can capitalize on that or how you can make money off of that, but I guarantee you, people are going to look at that fondly and think, man, that was a good time. That's a fun time to be in the hobby.
All right. So we'll add to the complexity of our yard sale indoor store. Then we'll have an inventory truck that takes random inventory across your 2 or 3 stores and just moves it and people can't find it. So every day you're just moving inventory from one place to another.
That's just us
genius,
now.
Right?
Like that's not what it is now. It's just moving things back and forth, trying to and then not lose them. That's probably a pretty accurate description of how it is now. But
well, I think that's actually a great segue because you just opened your second store. But you also previously had a second store and you contracted during the pandemic, right? So
we had a warehouse space that we had, and then we realized that you can't sell online if there's no margins. So we just had this big warehouse space that was basically we had our repairs out of there, and then we were just like storing things there for $4,500 a month, and that's just not why. It became not worth it because we just weren't seeing the sales volume that we once had. Obviously, like we could post stuff on our website and either bots would wipe us out or whatever it was, but like we would sell things so fast, and then obviously when product became more available and kind of went the other direction where it was too much, right? So we had all that type of situations where, I tell people, like, I remember fire selling Chilling Reign for $70 a box. I think $77 shipped, I think, is the lowest we had it on TCG Player at one point, simply because, like,
couldn't get rid of it.
It would not go away. I had Battle Styles, ETBs, cases stacked from floor to ceiling at a warehouse that has a higher ceiling. It was a bad situation. And it got to be where once that faucet got turned off, it went all the way off. Like, it was not a gradual thing. You were flooded with product, but the buyers weren't interested. There's just so many more options, and people racing to the bottom. I remember like I said, just that was the realization of being in the warehouse and being like, this was a bad idea. This was a long-term solution for a short-term positive for our business. So yeah,
that was the previous second store. It was actually a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually the first time that you've opened up a second store. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We are
Congratulations.
We are on our main store is on the south side of Louisville, and now we're over here on the east side.
Okay.
So we're about probably 25-minute drive from it. So it was nice to move somewhere else and kind of get a different type of clientele. And the clientele over here is kind of, we're by the kind of close to the college campus on the south side. But over here it's more families. We're in front of like a Walmart and a Target over here. So we kind of get more families and kids coming in and stuff like that. Whereas the other side, younger adults and, the crackhead every once in a while. But, other than that, it's just not a lot of people with disposable income. Where over here, it's more folks that are okay with spending some money. So it's very different clientele. We kind of have to pick and choose what we move and what we have product-wise over here versus at our other location, just because it is very different. And that's the number one thing we hear from people is that it's just people say, it's so nice to have you on, so I don't have to drive half an hour to get to you.
Right.
Now it's closer. So that's definitely a benefit and a good thing as far as having a different type of kind of like a smaller scale of the same kind of experience. And we kind of wrestled with that for a little while because we were going to look at maybe going to like closing the warehouse and then getting a larger scale of just a single location, or opening several smaller locations that kind of do the same kind of thing, but just smaller size. Because 7,000 square feet is a lot of space for a game store.
How big is the second one?
We are at 1,750 over here.
Okay, so it's significantly smaller. Okay.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of like, again, we try to mimic the experience, but just shrink it down a little bit. We can sit 96 people at the main store. We can sit 32 over here. So it's about a third of the size all the way across the board, kind of.
But I mean, still, it gives you some good expansion, get some different reach. Sounds like a different clientele. Have you seen that be quite profitable so far, or are you still a little bit in the hole?
A year in, it is definitely better than what it was. It's just hard to. It's hard to, you try to take for granted the regulars you get after being somewhere for 5 years. People have to learn about you, and then you have to have those people have good experiences, and then repeat experiences where they're good, and then they kind of make it like a part of their. Like we have folks that come over to this new store every weekend or once a month, maybe, something like that, and it takes a while to build up that type of. Hey, yeah, this place is cool. They're going to treat us right. They have a good selection of stuff. It takes a little while for that kind of ball to get rolling where you have like regulars per se. And it's just now, almost a year and a half, we're at now, where we have people filling up the seats on the weekends, or people always in the store. and making it worthwhile to have my employees here, and we're there, helping
Right.
people where it makes sense. Whereas before they were kind of just like hanging out for just sitting around, sorting bulk and getting paid. It's just kind
This
of
is just another shipping location. We got one from the Pokemon Dentist who he asked a question. He says, with all that's happening in the world, do you make plans or adjustments when running the card shop, the business, or do you go full speed ahead even when it's possible inclement weather?
Yeah, I mean, to answer that, probably going back to just the diversification of what you carry, the type of stuff that you really have to be. As more games get digital and TCGs go kind of more digital, stuff like that, you really have to be. You're becoming more of a. I hate to even phrase it like that. You want to be more of like a event location, or holding like events for people to come out and play or to get together. That's kind of why when people combine like coffee shops and game stores kind of together, they kind of like it's kind of like the same vibe. When people go out to a coffee shop and they want to sit down and hang out, they're gonna play a game or buy or play cards or whatever. And that's the same kind of experience that you want to have, and kind of like the same kind of vibe that you want to do now. Or even like there's game stores that have like bars in them and serve alcohol and stuff like that. You're creating an experience now, as opposed to, hey, this is just where you come to play Magic on the weekends, or I don't know. There's a lot more to it, and then it's more of a pop culture kind of. We carry a lot of like manga and anime stuff, and that's kind of like what we've leaned a lot into, because just anime and all that stuff has seen such a huge growth, especially during the pandemic.
Right.
Everybody was watching all these big shows and things like that, and I mean, I carry Gundam, I carry D&D stuff. D&D has been a huge staple for our store, and a fairly good constant, and we always see swings with like the new Baldur's Gate game. Brought a lot of new people into it. I've sold out all of our Baldur's Gate stuff, and then they had the D&D movie that came out, and they had the crossover with Magic, and so all these things. Stranger Things was huge. Stranger Things was probably the number one thing where it kind of transformed D&D from being like a nerdy, a bunch of dudes that played on the weekends kind of thing, and just played for all night, to where families are playing it, where women are comfortable coming in and playing it, and sometimes there's I have all women groups that play together. So it's that's cool to see. That's an awesome thing to see. And people are always saying, it's the old mindset of I liked how D&D used to be. It's always a big red flag to me to say, hey, I liked how misogynistic it was, and how it was just straight white dudes in their parents' basement and that kind of thing. Hasbro's done a lot to change that persona and change that, and Stranger Things stuff has helped out a lot. They've done a lot more good and a lot more of promoting different races and sexes and all that to be involved and be able to enjoy these games together, because that's really what you want. You want people to come together and play a game together. That's the whole vibe. So Magic's been great about it. D&D's been probably the best of them all. Pokemon has probably, as far as like the amount of women interested in the game, it's awesome. All the moms.
You see a high number?
Pokemoms. Like there's moms come in and they buy stuff when they're with their kids, but they they have a collection too, and they're serious about it, and they they want these big cards, and they're getting involved too. So it's cool, and I think it's awesome. That's cool. I enjoy promoting that type of atmosphere as well. So that's something that we really try to push and try to promote, is that somewhere that everybody can come hang out and kind of go back to everybody that's interested in everything, where they would normally 5-10 years ago would have been like kind of shunned or made fun of or be an outcast. This is an inclusive space that you can come and hang out and be together and not have to worry about that type of stuff. That's that's almost the proudest part of running a business like this, is that you kind of get to provide a space for those types of people that would otherwise kind of not be welcome, or at least be encouraged to not be themselves, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's like
I do.
That's like the biggest and the most rewarding aspect of it, for sure.
So that's going back to Pokemon Dennis's question. That's really how you start to look at weathering the storms.
Yeah,
is having that type of experience, which then will surpass perhaps the ups and downs. Because even if the economy is not too good or their job is not that great, they're going to want to come to there in the weekend and have that nice release and enjoy and play.
There are people that call it a vice if you want. People smoke, people drink. Some people just want to open up Pokemon cards, and that's what they want to spend their money on. And that's, I don't want to be like a drug dealer, but I'm a supplier if that's what they choose to do with their money. I'm okay with that.
I think Dan and I, or somebody and I, made that comment about the first pack was free.
Yes.
Yeah, I
like
remember that.
Yeah.
So let's go back now. So you got your second store a year and a half ago, but when did you hire your first employee? Because that's a huge step too. Obviously, Zach was a partner, kind of helped out, so you weren't by yourself like some others are. No. But that first employee had to be a big jump for you.
The first employee, I guess this kind of works probably similar to a lot of retail spots. And I'll say it now. My best employees were some of my best customers, and still are my best customers. They're knowledgeable about what you're selling. They spend their money. It comes right back to you. And they just have the knowledge where if somebody has a question, there's nobody better to ask. Because if they're not behind the counter, they're sitting at the table and playing the games. And, they just have the knowledge. And so that's how we started hiring and how we kind of got people on. Wasn't
your best
completely legal, but it's we're working for store credit, and you're sorting cards for me for store credit, and maybe you want some ultra rares for your Pokemon deck, so you're gonna sort some cards for me, and then we're gonna do it that way. This feels very much like the Poke&E conversation about copyright infringement, but that's just how it is. It's that's how you start and kind of grow.
Get creative,
obviously. Yeah. Look, I hated that. I hate having to go to hey, this is a W-9. Here's your actual tax form. That sucks. But
it's a lot better to hand over a stack of VMAXs. Thanks for your work today.
Look, you're a little bit closer to those gold cards now. Hope you see you tomorrow. Yeah. But that's just
the ETB.
That's just how I'm sure all retail starts and kind of gets and grows those type of employees. So
okay, all right.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, and that's how people sorting cards for me, and then if I'm busy, like, hey, can you process this transaction? And it's like, oh shoot, they can do other things too. Well, shoot, why don't we just have people run the registers for me? Why do I even have to stand there? I should be in the back doing all the paperwork and all the other stuff I got to do. And that's I don't want to say
where are you at now?
I don't want to say that's the goal, but that's
it's a milestone for sure.
Definitely, absolutely,
yeah,
and a testament to the type of people that you have working for you, and that you trust them enough to provide this an experience that you would give them, probably even better, maybe a better experience than I would give them, because I'm just all over the place all the time now. So you're asking what I do and what I focus on now. I do a lot of a lot of
no. I was gonna say, how many employees do you have now?
13.
Oh,
between the two stores.
Okay.
We're open 7 days a week, so that's just for coverage. That's how many you got to have. That's just
okay.
The logistics of it is the logistics of a game store, and the types of hours that you have to keep is also why a lot of them have to fail, and why people don't understand. Like, yes,
in what way?
You have to work until 10 o'clock at night. Yes, you have to work and you have to be open during what would otherwise be a fun time for you to go out on the weekends and do things, and to all your leisure time. You want people to spend their leisure time in your store, which means you have to be working. that's just how it is. That's just when you provide, an experience, or you want people to come in and enjoy themselves. It's like a restaurant or anything else. You're working the weekends. You're going to be there the busiest on the weekends, and
right.
Everybody's working the weekends. Nobody gets weekends off. Very rarely people get weekends off, or and it's just how it is. So I think a lot of people think it's cool to open a game store and be like, "Yep, here we are, Monday at 2:00 in the afternoon."
Going home.
How about when it's 9:00 on Monday, 9 p.m., and you're still there, and you have people playing Magic, and they're having a great time, and you're not? Then the dream doesn't feel as
starts to fade.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as great anymore. So I think a lot of people get trapped in the mentality of, man, I really would love to do that and have that be my job, but it's not you having fun. You get to watch other people have fun while you're working, which is cool too. I enjoy, and again, one of the greatest luxuries and the most things that bring me joy and excitement and I enjoy the most is running the events, doing things and seeing kids play games and families coming up and enjoying things together. That's a huge
one.
If I was doing it for the money, I'd be a lawyer. I wouldn't be doing this, So that is part of the reward and part of the payment, I guess, is right. Seeing stuff like that. Because if it wasn't, this ain't how you get rich.
If you had the same experience that you had with your interactions at PSA at the card store, you probably would shut down.
That is very true. That is very true. Though I do have to say, instead of telling people to take off their shoes, I'm telling people to have to put on their shoes, which is what I think. Why are people taking their shoes off in a game store? Please don't leave your shoes on. That's crazy. I have to tell my employees that. My employees are walking around in socks. I'm like, what are you doing, my guy? Hold everything.
We'll touch on the Crocs and socks and maybe another podcast.
I mean, we can call a podcast that. That sounds like a great
Crocs
podcast.
And socks. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, so now Ryan, I saw your question, so I'm kind of gonna ask it in a slightly different way. Looking now at your business, where do you see your distribution of revenue, Mason? Look at it in a couple of different ways. Let's first start with online versus in-store. Where do you really run the most volume and revenue?
It is definitely mostly in store. We at one point had an awesome website. We were with Binder Point of Sales, which is basically an overlay for Shopify. Shopify is probably the greatest shopping platform, or at least for you to run your own business off of. Shopify is great.
Right.
I love Shopify. And Binder POS was basically the card database, kind of like an overlay to do and run inventory off of, so that you could have it on your website, and then you could buy and sell cards that way. You can do buy lists. You get to have people create deck lists on that. Really awesome platform. When I opened up the second location, they can't do multi-store on Shopify. So I had to.
So it was a Shopify issue, not a Binder POS issue. Okay.
Well, it was a Shopify point of sale issue because they couldn't integrate the two inventories. They couldn't source from the same thing to know which one, where to take it from, basically, is what I take away from. So we had to move to what we have currently now, which is a video game based point of sale. And so when we went back to them, they said, "Oh, we have Shopify integration coming. No big deal." That was end of January of this year. It is middle of October. Still not here. So it sucks.
Not yet.
I like it. It is a work in progress. It's something I've actually spent probably a bulk of my time this week working on, was doing that. But it is coming. It is it's a hard way to go. It's taken a long time, but we're getting there, and we will eventually get to the point where we have the website that we used to have.
And do you think that's why your online sales are down? You think that's why?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just
Okay.
there's so much more work that has to go to put something online. If it's all integrated with my system, with my inventory, it's easy. Like it's my
Binder
in-store
POS
inventory
really makes it
is
easy. Yeah.
Binder's great. I love Binder. I hate that I had to leave it because it just wasn't working. I also hate that they took 2% of all my online sales versus just the card-based stuff.
Right.
It's fine. Yeah, a lot of the you're on Binder, right? You run your stuff on Binder.
Yeah,
I do. We were probably among the first 20, 30 stores to be on Binder. And a lot of the CSVs and stuff for product categories,
right?
Those all came from me. Those all came from
nice.
Our business.
Thank you, Mason.
Our stuff, we built all that out ourselves. Like anything like with Dragon Shields, with D&D minis, Gundams, all came from us.
Awesome. Thanks,
Hundreds
man.
of hours that we put into Shopify, and then we had to leave it and go on something else.
That's sad.
It sucked. But so now I have to do it again for the new point of sales and do it all over again. But at least I know how to now. I learned a lot.
By the time you do that, Shopify and Binder POS will work out dual locations, so you'll be able to come back. Don't worry.
Probably that would be my luck. The when they push it out, they're gonna be like, Binder says multi-store location, let's go, and then it'll be like shit. But that'd be about right. That would be my luck.
Yep. Before this other integration gets in place, I promise you that. Hey Dan, thanks for stopping by. Yep, no worries, man. We'll catch you later this week.
Have you had Dan on?
Yes, he was my second guest.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that one. I'll have to go back and watch it.
Dan's a great guy.
Dan's fantastic.
I was talking to my wife. We met him, at Collecticon, and we met you. And she's like, he's so different on the podcast than he is in person.
What? How? Was he drunk at the time? Dan's the same dude. Dan is the same dude on a Discord call in the middle of the night after he's been drinking than he is on his own YouTube channel. I've heard that man in casual conversation say, now this isn't tax advice, in a casual conversation in a bar. Like, I've heard that happen. So just throwing it out there.
I think he was maybe a little bit more relaxed on the podcast. He seemed to maybe it was too early in the morning when we caught him at the Collecticon. Okay. Yeah, perhaps.
I love Dan. Dan's great.
Let's go back to the comparison, though.
Yes.
Tell us about now Pokemon versus other TCGs, and that kind of touches Ryan's question. So how do you see now revenue and distribution there for Pokemon versus Magic? And you can kind of lump this in store and obviously online as well. But how does that look for you?
I should probably answer that question. We do mostly in store now. We do a lot of eBay and Amazon sales. We've actually ramped up and tried to do a little bit more, just because we have so much stuff. We have so much stock of just stuff that we buy a lot more than we sell. So things like game systems, stuff like that, we push on Amazon and eBay. Stuff that sits in the store for too long, we'll just toss on eBay. Sometimes video games can have actually sell for more on Amazon and things like that. So we push a lot of higher quality, popular titles that sell and have good throughput on Amazon. We'll send it off to Amazon and do Amazon fulfillment through that. So it's getting to be where it's closer to 50-50-ish, and we're working towards it all the time. But for a long time, it was a slog to try to get, just because with the second store opening and then losing the warehouse and kind of scaling it back and doing all that type of stuff. It just took us a long time to get back to where we were ready to put the infrastructure back together to run it and have online sales be that way.
Not to mention the technical challenges you face there. Where does Pokemon sit in this? I mean, is it 30% of your general revenue? Is it?
We do 10%? A ton with Pokemon for sure. Pokemon singles, they sell great. We do great with them. Of stuff from like the YouTube, people buying stuff and pre-ordering stuff. It's always Pokemon. It's always, not always Pokemon. Sometimes it's Magic too. But a lot of the stuff that we get from online is mostly Pokemon. So and then we do TCG Player Direct, which is and has become a huge part of my business. If I did not have TCG Player Direct, my business would stop and cease working in a month if I did not have that source of income.
Wow.
It's just it pays all the bills, and thank God we have the 2 Roka sorters and all that stuff running, and
That's
where we
right.
can process a huge amount of cards that it would take an army of people to do if I didn't have all that stuff. So,
so you have actually
yeah.
15 employees then. Let's see,
basically,
Roka's count.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
At least.
They
Okay,
don't
so
spend
then
the money back in the store though, so that's kind of sucks, but that's fine.
But then the answer to these 2 points then on that. So does it sit at about 50% of your overall revenue, Pokemon that is, or is it more?
Magic probably is more than Pokemon right now, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just the market for Magic is just so strong. You hear all this doom and gloom about Magic and how it's not doing great, but TCG Player Direct, yeah, they eat you alive in fees, but by God, if you don't sell more cards on there and make it worth their time and Direct sending it all to them and making them deal with it, it's a great thing for, I'm not going to say just my business, but probably for all game stores. And for the amount of people that bash and talk crap about TCG Player, they are literally saving the LGS model and how we operate. Because if we didn't have that type of support and a platform that had such dominance over people buying singles, we'd all be done. Like, we would not be able to exist. And anybody that says TCG Player sucks, or they don't sell on it because they're so greedy, and they're delusional. They're doing themselves a disservice by not being on that platform. TCG Player Direct isn't for everybody. You have to have a good amount of singles and want the throughput to do that type of amount of singles. But if you're on TCG Player Direct, you make a higher percentage. You lose more in fees, and your fees are a lot higher, but you kind of make up for it because you're able to sell so much more, so much cheaper cards for a decent amount. Yeah. And then, the more cards you have listed, the more you're going to sell. The more orders you get that aren't just for 1 card, they're for 8 cards, they're for 10 cards, they're for 12 cards. I had one order that was 130 cards, and it all went direct. I didn't have to touch it. I load it up in a box, I ship it off to them. That's one order. And then, so we probably move. I could probably check. It's not worth in the conversation, but we probably sell somewhere in the realm of, I would say, probably 4,000 cards a week through TCG Player. Through it's
wow.
It's a pretty amazing number for sure, and being able to restock it. Obviously, it's awesome to sell that many cards, but then you have to restock it and keep it going. That's the hardest part of Direct, and probably where a lot of people start seeing it as a negative, is that you just don't have inventory. But as long as you're able to move things and keep it building, and you have a good source for buying, you're able to sustain it a little bit. We definitely have dry periods where we just don't have anything in inventory, or all of our good stuff gets bought out, right? But if you move it around and keep it coming in as much as it is selling, that's the goal. And the only way you can do that probably is with Roka, or at least with brick and mortar, where you have people trading stuff in, because otherwise it just doesn't work.
You'd be sitting there sorting cards all day and prepping for shipping out to TCG.
I basically have one person that runs the Rokas, and that is his job, is to run those machines, and then what they spit out, he puts them away and puts them in drawers, and then we build the infrastructure, and that's his job. And
is it a lot like I talked to Rob with RNG-Gamez, and they do a lot of product breakdown. Great. Yeah, I love Rob, man.
Rob was here earlier. Rob,
he was.
I appreciate you. Make some videos, damn it. But
really?
I love Rob. He's great. He fell off.
He fell off, man. He was making daily content.
I don't want to be responsible for that. Him come back. All right.
On the content. On the content.
Yeah. So I heard out there people were saying I fell off. No, I love Rob. Rob's great.
But he breaks down a lot of Magic product in order to run that. Insane. Do you do the same thing, or yours more buyouts?
I have employees that do all that. He's doing it by himself. That guy's insane. Like,
He loves the grind, man.
Rob,
He
hire some
loves it.
people. Jeez, you're a madman.
Coffee and cracking packs.
It's just
Rob's
coffee
got it, man.
and 14-hour days. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I was there. I've been there, but hire some employees, my God. No, it is a lot of that. It is.
You break it down. Okay.
Feeding the Roca, having to spit out stuff. We have one Roca that sifts value. So we do 15 cents. Anything under 15 cents market is true bulk, and we don't sell it. We don't list it. Anything above that, we categorize and we put it on TCG Player, because that's what we've deemed worth our time. You know, that could be different for everybody. It could be 50 cents for somebody. It could be a quarter. It could be, you know, whatever it is. But that is what we deem worth it, and kind of have the throughput to keep the price that high. It kind of has to have that sort of movement, or else it'll be just a penny, right? So for it to be inventory that's not just going to sit there and kind of move, it's got to have a threshold like that. So that's what we try to do. Is if 15 cents, that's the sweet spot for us.
That's the sweet spot. Okay,
but it may not be for somebody else. But that's like the type of that's the grunt work, and that's like the day-to-day and the grind that pays the bills. When it's not a release week, when it's not a you know, when Magic drops a Commander Masters set and we all you know, we're down $40,000 and we're sitting there like, well, TCG Player better be paying the bills this month, because it is rough.
Not looking good. Not looking good.
And then you know, our Pokemon drops in Obsidian Flames, and I still have. I looked recently. It's probably 130 ETBs.
Wow.
Obsidian Flames.
Still sitting on that. Just hold it, man. Hold it. Now you're an investor.
Nope.
Now you're an investor.
I'm sure not going to hold it. Nope. You can't. And people say this all the time, and I don't know if somebody talked about it in the comments or not, but holding as a business, as an LGS,
that doesn't work.
Stop it.
Can't.
Like, whoever's telling you this, and
well,
it doesn't work.
To add the caveat there, you can't do that when you have a brick and mortar and you have employees and you have all the other areas. If you're pulling a Brian, you could sit on some of that. But that's one of the questions I was asking him. You know, even if you're sitting on it, you reach a point where your capital's tied up, and you got to do something with that. Now, if that's on a cycle and it's every year, say, hey, whatever I brought in January, I'm selling in December. Okay, but to do that for 3 or 4 years, I think you'd tie up too much capital.
If I'm not buying things, I'm not selling things. If I'm not selling things, I can't buy things.
Sounds like a circular problem.
It is a hamster wheel that never ends. It is the time. As to go back to the name of this, the only way that you endure that time is your little hamster legs have to go as fast as possible on that wheel to keep it going. That's the only way. So if you're holding back product and you're putting it on a shelf, that is whatever that value is, sitting there not working for you.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to build a graphic for you, just because it's in my head now, and I got to do it. It's going to be you on a hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. As your feet are coming off, you're kicking off ETB boxes out the back.
I love it.
And as you're reaching up, you're buying. So you have one hand with money, one hand like with a binder or whatever you're going to buy. So you're buying and you're spitting out product in the back. I love it.
Yeah, because, you know, my
CardNAllGaming.
My wages every 2 weeks is $20,000. I have to make $20,000 every 2 weeks to pay my employees, or else they don't get paid. I cannot put back cases of ETBs or booster boxes, whatever. It does me no good. There's no way that me putting that aside and hiding that and just forgetting about it is better than me just selling it outright and using that money to pay my employees and buy more product. And if you are putting things away, you're either doing so good that you just, this is just a hobby for you, or you don't have things to buy that you could spend more money on and make more money. One of two things is happening there. That's the only options there is. So, and if that's you're in a luxury place, if you're one of those two things, I'm very
Have you
happy.
ever been in a spot where you haven't been able to pay your employees?
It's come very close. Yeah. That fire sale of Chilling Reign,
that was it.
that was it.
That was you making payroll.
It was bad. Yeah.
Okay.
People think game stores are. I don't know what people think, but game stores are not. Game stores are not a business where there's $100,000 in the bank. It's not a thing. There's no game store that has that type of money that's just chilling in a bank somewhere. You can't. There's no reason to. You may as well put that money into product. I have my business worth, right? But it's all in product. It's all in things that I've bought for the store. It's all in product. I have to get that money out of that product to do anything with it if I want to actually spend like cash money for things. It does me no good to have cash money in the bank because that money is not doing anything for me.
Right.
I'm not getting any interest. I'm not buying more product. Like, I need that money to move and do better things. That's how businesses grow. Is you got to take that money that you earned and put it into other stuff. That's how you grow and keep it snowballing, right? If they're doing that, they're either content where they're at. They've been in the same store and they've been there for 30 years and they, it's a mom and pop shop and they're just happy and that's their little nest egg, or they're not trying hard enough and they're just happy where they're at and they don't care to make any more money. It's one of those two things. I just game stores. I know I've talked to dozens and dozens of game stores around the country. People say if I didn't have any revenue coming in, and that's why the pandemic was so destructive to this type of business, is because we don't have cash on hand for anything. No emergency fund. There is no emergency fund. The emergency fund is credit card, and then when those are loaded up, well,
now interest kicks in. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the reality of just probably all small business, but also just like how game stores
definitely collectibles
fundamentally operate. If I have empty spots on my shelves, if I have an empty spot somewhere in my case, and I have money in the bank, there's a problem. I should be filling those holes, and I should be buying product, and I should be whatever it is to make me more money. That's how we stay alive. I don't like it. I don't like to live that way, but that is the reality of this business. That's just how it is.
Well, I mean, to your point though, you're only doing it because you want to grow. If you just wanted to start, hey, let's just deplete the inventory, we'll keep a bare minimum, and then we'll start dumping cash in the bank and taking long vacations and all that stuff. But you're trying to grow.
Man,
you just did a second store. You're gonna do a third.
There's my favorite quote. It's attributed to the owner of Jimmy John's, the sandwich.
Okay.
And I actually saw the sign in his store.
Free smells.
There's that, which is also a nice way to get people in. But it says the gap between more and enough never closes. And as a business, that's how you have to operate. You will never have enough. There can always be more. And that's just the mentality you have to have.
Yeah. Like I said, you're trying to grow. So, I mean, it's at least, and it keeps the excitement. It keeps it, if you get bored after a while, if you are trying.
Yeah. I'll probably have a heart attack at 45 and, somebody will walk in while I'm here late at night and find me dead on the floor. But, it was exciting.
But it's only because you were eating the stale Oreos, man.
It's not helping. It's definitely not helping.
Just so we know, everybody. Just so we know, everybody, his all his meals are funded through expired snacks off the shelves. That's how he eats. So. Because you can't throw them away.
It's an expense. It's a
write-off.
It's a write-off. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about distributors.
Sure. Yeah.
So, what distributors do you have, and how many do you have?
God, let me look at my bookmarks. There are wholesalers that I buy from, but you're talking about distributors specifically.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 distributors that I buy, or I can buy TCG products, we'll say. All the other things, binders, controllers, D&D books, other like Games Workshop stuff. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
Wow.
So that's what, 36 people that I have to keep on top of and try to both pay and buy things from all at the same time.
Jesus. You probably narrow that down to 3 or 4 distributors as your primary.
For sure.
I would assume. Yeah.
I favor some over others, but yeah, it's a lot to keep on top of, and I do all the buying for the store, as apart from like things here or there, toilet paper, stuff like that.
Right.
That's a local purchase, but anything that's product for the store, it's me. I'm the guy, so I do the buying and selling, and it's a lot to juggle. But distributors, yes. What would you like to know?
Southern Hobby. Who do you
Southern
have?
Hobby is my number one. I love Southern Hobby. They are based out of Nashville. They have been moving and kind of moving towards being out of St. Louis, it seems like now, as like the main hub that has like the stuff all the time. But Nashville used to be the spot, but it's not anymore. Yeah. But they do. I spend probably $1.5 million with them a year.
Over the year.
Yeah. So that is the bulk of my buying, and that I get most of my product from is Southern Hobby. Yeah.
Where do you think you sit on the scale as far as their customers? Like, where does that put you, you think?
I know that I am probably, for my sales rep, I'm in his top 3 accounts, but I don't know. I'm sure they have tons of reps. There's tons of reps. I mean, I am. If there's 2,000 accounts, let's say, I might be top 200. I don't know. I have no idea. Top 10%, maybe. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I have no idea as far as like spending, but they do get most of my money. So
so where would you rank yourself in terms of spitting out cash for the year for all of them? Are you shooting? If that's 1.5, 3.
No, we probably like I can tell you our expenses are 2.2.
2.2.
It's probably close to what we did last year.
Okay. That was in spend or that was in revenue?
What's in spend? Yeah, spend.
Okay.
This year is looking like it's probably going to be a little less, probably, but just because I'm not flipping Magic or Pokemon like I was. If every Pokemon thing I get, I immediately sell, right, and I go get more. It's just not as frantic as it was.
Right. Slow down.
Even last year, it's slowed way down. So.
Okay. And how does that transition for you in terms of the rolling kind of releases? Because you're probably buying, and I think I heard you say it with John the other month when you were with John on Radar, Pokemon Radar podcast. You were like $40,000 and for given set release.
Yeah, I mean
multiple releases in a month.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows, and obviously like Magic is way more expensive than Pokemon as a cost per base. So we buy. Magic has so much products; it's kind of hard to. it's all over the place. As far as like there's $180 boxes versus the $90 boxes that Pokemon has. But it's what was the question? I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. And
feel free to mention anything.
Yeah,
they're looking at getting you some steak and some other things, so you don't have to eat all.
I'm all about it. I love it.
Yeah, but feel free to bring up anything. No worries. Yeah, I think PokeDep store said, do you have a room in the back for a PokeDep store or a rack in your store? So you can put a little rack in the back.
I've tried to send you, or have you send me stuff. I asked you to quote me. Where's the invoice? Mason at CardNAllGaming.com. Send me the invoice.
There you go.
I'm ready.
There's room in the back. There's room in the back, especially. Now you can be in 2 stores. You see?
You have like a locator or something that says, "Hey, my products. Find my products at CardNAllGaming.com."
That's right. Hey
Yeah.
man, that's free marketing. And actually, I do want to go back to that previous comment that you were answering. Now that you do have the 13 employees, and we'll come back to the distributors in a second. What do you do with your time? You said marketing. You said a few other things. Where you spend your time now?
I do a lot with advertising right now. I do a lot of. We've been really pushing really hard into doing the socials, doing a lot of stuff on the social media, advertising really well for events, and making sure that people know about them and then to come out and support the store. That is what I spend a lot of my time on currently, because I'm having to be. I say babysit. It's not babysit. It's that my employees are so good and experienced and knowledgeable that I don't have to do a lot of the grunt work, right? Again, that's as a store owner, that's kind of like you're getting towards the end goal of like them being self-sufficient without you having to do any sort of activities. But you know, we'll get there when we get there. But that's a lot of my time is advertising. Again, keep on top of 36 distributors and wholesalers. That's
a lot.
That's a ton. Like that's like, and you know, that is something that I do not weekly, but that's something I do
daily. I'm sure.
Like if I wasn't here on this podcast right now, I'd probably be at home listening to somebody else on YouTube, and I'd be scrolling through a wholesaler or you know, a distributor's website and buying things and sourcing stuff. It's ever constant. It is a thing that I am always doing, and that's partly just how I'm built. Me and Rob are very similar in that we don't. What's an off day? What if I'm not doing business stuff? If I'm not with my family or with my wife, what value is it to me?
There's nothing else there.
to like, this is it. This is like where I want to be, and also where I probably should be, and working. So that's a lot.
And it's the change in mindset when you own the business, because your time is seen as you're either making more money or you're losing money.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that nobody's going to care as much as I do.
Exactly.
No one. I could have other people take my job and deal with distribution, all this stuff, but I'm not going to ask somebody to do that at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday.
Right.
No one's going to do that. Only I'm going to do that. So it's that I still struggle, again, like Rob, with trusting other people to do it, because it's not that they're not as good as me. They're not going to spend as much time and be as like constant thinking about it as me. Yeah. Because it's a job. Who cares? Like, from their standpoint, they shouldn't. Like, I don't blame them. That's not like a fault of them. Like, good for them. Like, I'm proud. I'm happy that they don't have this.
They get to go home and relax.
all-consuming pressure to be constantly sourcing or looking for things to put in their store. God, what a relief that they have, versus the curse that I have. But that's part of it. That's the
you enjoy it.
That's the
you enjoy it.
That's part of the whole experience. Is the business is my identity as much as it is my baby, you know?
Well, when it's your business, I mean, it's not a job. And if it is, you won't last long. You can't look at that as a 9 to 5. Back to your previous points about working until 10 o'clock at night. It's all consuming. Until you retire, which we'll talk about near the end. We'll see. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay. I'll have to think about what to do, because I haven't even, like, that's not a thought in my mind.
Hasn't occurred.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll figure it out together, maybe.
You're still young, though. You're still young. You still got a ways to go. 65, right? So you got another 30 years, man.
Oh God. All right.
Don't worry.
What else you got?
Yep. Let's look at the social media. So you mentioned a few. What social media did you use, and for what purpose? One of the things I think we've stumbled on sometimes is using the social media for the wrong intentions or for the wrong type of audience. Yeah. How do you use it, and what's the approach?
Well, I probably I think everybody probably doesn't use it to their fullest, right? Nobody is like, very few people are like tapped in all the way, right?
Yeah.
You think of businesses that are pretty. You know who DK Oldies is? Have you heard of them?
No. Huh.
They're very, very big on YouTube and on TikTok and stuff. They are a kind of like a reseller of old school video games and retro video games. And they always get a bunch of flack because they are expensive, like probably like 130% more expensive is what the prices are, versus what, people are like, why don't you just go to eBay and buy it off eBay? And it's the type of stuff that they're so invasive that people want to like look for a fault for them and like try to break them down and try to catch them slipping, or
Right.
because that's just how society is apparently on social media. And I promise I'm going somewhere. I'm not just throwing this out here to distract myself. But
It is a rant. Go for it.
But they're huge on TikTok, and they always have the same guy. He's like, I'm gonna ship this order out, and then he goes and like picks it off the shelf, and he shows them packing it and stuff, and then he'll like, hey, for me filming your order, here's a free something, and they throw it in the box, and they tape it all up, and they throw it in the bin, and that's their TikTok, right? They do that just multiples every day. Like that's what they do, and like they have like a code that you can put into your order and I think it gives you maybe a little small discount or something. I don't know, but they're always flack about people. It's like, these guys are scam. It's too expensive. Blah blah blah. And people don't understand. Like, first of all, that dude has to get paid. That is running around with the camera and like filming all this stuff. That's his job. Like he himself is not doing anything physical for the store. Like, is he really like he's packing that one order for like however long it's taking him? That's not efficient. Nobody gives it. Like, that's not paying the bills.
No.
It's advertising. Like, the whole spiel, and probably they might even feed into it and like try to like the whole of, what do they call that, where you post something intentionally incorrect or wrong on social media so that like you get engagement.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever that is, whatever that word is. Again, that people are way smarter than me to think of something like that, but like whatever that, like, they kind of feed into that a little bit. Like sometimes they do that type of stuff, and they'll say just
something
social media stuff like this. Yeah. That's like modern advertising, right? That's the whole gimmick of like social media, like pushing your brand, getting more clicks, more views, more eyes on it. They got to figure it out. They know what they're doing, and they're making tons of money because they're getting all this promotion, they're getting all this free advertisement, basically paying that dude, right. But free advertising. People are sharing their stuff and making comments and feeding the algorithm, and they're making ad revenue off of that.
Yeah.
And getting money from YouTube and all that too. So it's, when you get to that level, when they're that good, you can basically just you're playing with the house's money at that point, because you're getting as much money making the content as you are getting the people coming to your website and buying from you. So it's kind of impressive. Obviously, I have my channel. What about 32,000 subscribers?
Is it 32?
Okay.
Oh,
that's pretty
congrats.
Good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, compared to that, they have 1 million subscribers and people on TikTok.
I was just looking them up.
Just tons of them. So it's very hard to walk a line and be like, okay, I want to make content, but I want to have a good public image. I want a good brand, right? But to feed the algorithm, you kind of have to be kind of like a bad boy a little bit. You gotta feed the trolls a little bit. So it's a dichotomy of making good content versus like having an opinion and like kind of being kind of inflammatory a little bit. It's hard, right? So
it's a mix of all that.
I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to find new ways that are not overtly like, hey, come to my website, please buy our stuff. Because that's
a little too much, right?
Right.
Over the top.
Come on, too strong. Yeah. You got to scale it back a little bit and at least provide some sort of value, right? Again, my whole YouTube channel wasn't ever meant to be like, hey,
Marketing
advertising
the
from my
website.
store, or marketing from my store, right? It was just me. I wanted to get information out there. I want to talk about things that people otherwise wouldn't get information about. That was the whole reason for my YouTube channel. But obviously, it's turned into a great opportunity to use this platform that I have to do some other things. And there's stories out there that do like daily vlogs, and they go and follow their employees around, like, hey, what are you working on today? And they make content, and they film trade-ins, and they film stuff like that, and that's all good content. There's people that subscribe, and they make viral TikToks again too, and they do like these little skits and little jokey things, and that's like type of stuff that works and type of stuff that I would want to do. It's just very, very hard to justify taking the time to bother my employee that is trying to put cards in the system. Be like,
what you doing, Rob?
What are you what are you working on? What's our question of the day? Our question of the day is, if you had to work anywhere else, where would you want to work? It's just like it's hard to justify doing that and then editing that. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. And then how long do you do that till it starts paying off, right? There's a lot of sunken cost and stuff like that. That what if it doesn't work? Or it's not like the typical content that I make, and people start rebelling, right? And start getting angry. Yeah. Like, man, just talk about Pokemon cards. Just talk about the no set or whatever. Man, look, we're trying to do something here. You're not helping.
Trying to expand. So do you use anything other than YouTube? Do you venture a lot into Instagram? I know you have the socials, but I mean, how much do you spend there?
Facebook is a lot of where it traditionally has been, because you can put events on there, and then there's community groups on Facebook that you can go and there's like the magic, the local magic page that has a couple 100 or 1,000 people on there, and you're posting, advertising and posting stuff on there, and then you have your own page, and then again you make events, and you can have events, and then you have a reference point. Facebook still does pretty good for us, and it still is a strong advertising way of getting things out there. So we do leverage that a lot. Of course, Facebook owns Instagram now, so Instagram and Facebook are kind of married together. Our business accounts are married and merged together on there. So it just makes sense to do both because they're already all there together. So so Instagram has been huge. We've been doing a big push here recently to put, again, with like just video games and things, like if we get something cool that comes in, and or we get like a good card buy that comes in, or stuff like that, we'll do like Instagram posts and stuff like that. And that's kind of just like the extent of what I know to do. Apart from like the YouTube content. YouTube is tough because without a good, decent website, YouTube is basically pointless. Like YouTube was huge. We used to have tons of people that come to our, and we still do. We still get probably 120 hits a day from YouTube that go to our website on our Shopify page. There's nothing there. There's pre-orders, and there's some piddly stuff, and we're trying to build it out right now. So hopefully very, very soon it makes sense, and it will make sense to do more content on YouTube, because there's a way for them to support the channel and support the store that way. Right. Other than just pre-orders. So that's kind of the discouraging part right now, is that I don't want to put a lot of time into it because it's basically fruitless, other than the tiny little bit of ad revenue that I get from YouTube, which is, it pays for my Photoshop, the
toilet paper,
my monthly subscription to all those things. So I mean, there's that. But
that's positive. That's positive.
But if I didn't do YouTube, I wouldn't have to buy those things. So
it pays for the toilet paper you need for the bathrooms.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So that's the hard part with the social media, is just like, if it's not local based, because all of our local buyers, that's all that we can have right now. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do other farther reaching things, TikToks and all
Right.
that crap. But if I had a great website, I'd be all about it. It'd be really cool. So,
and I definitely admired how Brian's taken his approach lately. He's been killing it in terms of really funneling a lot of efforts towards the business, making some content. He's done a lot here the past, 4 or 5 months.
I would love to have a setup like that where it makes sense. Like that makes sense to have content be like part of your daily regimen. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna make 2 TikToks. I'm gonna do a YouTube video every 3 days or whatever. I don't know, but just it doesn't.
I got you.
It's not.
Have them somewhere to land.
I spend more time on Shopify building out the website than I am promoting the website for right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully soon that will change.
Best of luck. Best of luck.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about your biggest mistake in the LGS. So,
God. Just one? Just want me to pick one?
Well, I think it'll probably connect to several, but what would be your biggest one? What was, looking over these 8 years, 8+ years, where was that biggest mistake? You're like, oh my God, this is it. We're done. I can't believe it. I'm gonna live on the street.
Oh God. I mean, and this is not me being hyper ballistic. That type of situation pops up probably every 6 months just because shit goes sideways sometimes. And it's just like, man, what are we doing? Like, what happened? How did we get here? Why do we do this? I mean,
going back to TSA.
You want me to just pick just one?
One of the ones that comes to your mind.
Opening and doing the warehouse probably was the absolute dumbest idea we've ever had. Because we didn't need the space. We didn't need to, because we got that space during the shutdown. We had the space. We built a wall at our first location where we were already doing all that stuff out of. But we're like, if we got a warehouse, when it opens back up, we can just run this as normal, tear down the wall that we just built a year ago.
Smart.
No, very dumb. Very, very stupid. I've built 4 walls at that old location. I've torn down 3 of them.
Was it the same one?
More or less, yes. It was
good stuff.
It's a meme. It's a local meme that we haven't changed our store in 6 months. We're due to build a wall or put a wall up somewhere.
Just put it up, tear down. Put it up, tear down. Did you get stuck in a contract with that warehouse? Was it like you then had to pay yourself out of a 3-year?
Yeah, we had to tell them, like, look, man, if you can find somebody else to lease the space, that'd be great, because we got to this is not feasible anymore for us. And so thank God we were able to, they found somebody else to take over the lease or take the space over. We were great tenants. We didn't tear this place up. We didn't build any walls over there. We were actually very, very good. But it's just seeing growth and success, and then thinking that, oh, this is for forever. This is where we're at now, and thinking of your business as a set of stairs where you can stay on that step and just be like, okay, this is cool, until you take another big step. But it doesn't work that way. It's this, and it's a lot more this sometimes than it is that. So that's the type of the mentality that we were trapped in, is that, okay, we're leveling up, right? There's never a where you die on a level and then you have to reset and start over again. We reached that point with the warehouse where we're just like, oh, that was it. We fucked up. We're in too deep. We're in a bad place. And we had to scale back down. And that was a very humbling, embarrassing experience, because you thought, this is just what you do next. This is the next step. This is what you do. This is how you grow. And for it to not go that way, it knocks you on your ass. And that was probably the number one experience that you learn from. And looking back, you could see it a mile away, right? Like, it's so obvious. But at the time, yeah, exactly. Like, I can do that for what I did yesterday, you know. Well, that was stupid. Why did I do that? You know, at the time, it felt like a good idea.
Sound like a good idea.
So that was the number one thing where it's just like, man, we thought we were just never going to stop.
Yeah. Top of the mountain.
So many reasons why your business is successful is outside of what you control. And that's probably the biggest aspect that from the inside you don't see, is that you attribute it to everything that you're doing correctly. But then, you know, to see a failure, or again, scaling back, let's not be not so dramatic about it, but it's not because you're not working hard enough. It's not because that you aren't trying your hardest. Sometimes shit just goes bad and it's not your fault.
Does it work out that way? Yeah.
So that's the best learning experience. But there's so many. There's like I said, I can look at this past week. I can look at this past month. I can go past this past year and see, wow, that was stupid. This was stupid. But that's the thing. It's like one of those books. You remember these books when you had it says to pick a choice, and then to do this, go to this page, and then like choose your own adventure books.
Yep, I remember those.
That's running a business. And sometimes you flip to the page where you die at the end, and that's just it's just not your fault. You didn't see it coming. There's no way to know.
Let's go back.
It's just there's it just sucks. And then you're like, well, now I see after these cascade of choices, that was the outcome, obviously. But at the time, you're like, oh shit, I don't know. That's every day. That's just you every day. That's life in general, right? This is how it is. So
you pull back on the warehouse, and then you open up a second store.
Yeah. Was that a great idea? I don't know.
Well, at least the second store generates revenue.
It is.
The warehouse does not.
It is making sales that we would not have otherwise have made. Correct. And that's the way I look at my employees as well. Is just like, okay, if I have nothing else for them to do and they have to sort bulk, that is still a better outcome than them losing me money or just not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
That's the again, going back to the time. Time is a circle. I am paying an employee for 8 hours regardless of what they're doing. I should have them doing the most productive thing for my business, right?
Exactly.
That's the I have to have them regardless. I need them to be there for the 8 hours. It's keeping them busy for that 8 hours and getting the most value out of them. Even if it loses me money or it's not worth their time, it's still better than them not doing anything.
The best possible outcome of the task of which they're there for the 8 hours. So whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Hey, Greenie. Good to see you. Dad 1, Dad 2. Listen it back. It's been a good one. I enjoyed it. Good to have you with us.
I love Josh.
Cool
Josh
things.
Is great.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was going to be. But I think that's, for most people.
Have you had him on?
No, not yet. I talked to him about it. I poked him a little bit, and I said, hey, I'm looking at you and Oak. That would be fun. That'd be good
together?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh my goodness. That's a treat right there. Now you're getting, I don't know.
I didn't ask yet, so they didn't say yes, but
okay.
we'll see.
We'll have to talk about it. That's fine.
Yeah, no. I didn't ask yet, so the cool things. He actually mentioned this in the beginning. We talked about in the very, very beginning when we talked about the terrifying business model from Pokini. So watch it back. Cool things, and you'll see the response there. All right. So let's move over to one of the things you said actually in, I think, your third or fourth video you have ever posted. You said something about talking through Pokemon either being mature and reaching a point of where we are, or is it actually in a bubble? Fast forward 3 years later, where do you see it? Do you think Pokemon was truly maturing over this time, or are we just riding some huge bubble?
Wow. You really dug that from the past. That's awesome. The way I like to describe what Pokemon did in the Logan Paul experience, it probably is what I said in this video. So, Pokemon is just, it has advanced several steps. It just did it very, very quickly.
Right.
To where, you know, when I first started the business, graded cards existed, but it wasn't something that we sold, right? It wasn't something that we bought and sold. Now, grading cards is not a big part of my business, but it is something I'm aware of and that I do. It is a revenue stream that I now at least attempt to capture.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah. Okay.
Think of like Sun and Moon alt arts and things like that. And where at the time we like Pokemon didn't know that was the way, and then here we are years later, and they're like, "Oh shit, we did this 4 years ago, and here we are just now coming back around in battle styles for these alt arts, and people love them." Man, that's crazy! What a concept!
We need that Bramble. Where's the Bramble?
It's you still can't see it. No. Oh well. But and even a card like that, I love this card. This card's beautiful. That's awesome.
It is a nice card. I actually know which one you're referring to, even though I can't see it.
Yeah, it's a great card. But all that type of stuff is we've advanced. We've come. If you think of like sports cards or older cards, even like that, Pokemon has advanced and leveled up and graded, and it has matured into a more respectable collectible space. And part of that is just because people do acknowledge the money that's in it, and that we have cards of major value that people are spending major amounts of monies on, and that is a part of it. That's like it or not, if you are a business or not, or if you are a collector or you don't care about the value of your cards, that is a part of it. That plays into the leveling up and growing, maturing aspect of any sort of collectible. Is that there's old stuff that is rare and it's expensive, and people are nostalgic for it and they want to pay for it. And then there's new stuff. There's a chase factor. There's FOMO. There's like all these things happen in sports on a regular basis, and it's not anything new to them. This is not difficult of a concept for a sports person to look at a new 1 of 5 Prism and be like, damn, that's a $200,000 card. That's not a weird concept for them. For Pokemon to go like, that card's $250? That has no business being $250. What the hell?
Right.
We are still behind. We are still behind in that sort of mentality of just like something is worth as much as somebody wants to pay for it.
Very true.
And that is
the market will decide.
That is just collectibles 101. And there are people that are still living in the old mentality of that. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying this as a like
just a contrasting point.
Yeah, it's just a way of thinking. Is that back in my day, that was a $5 card, and now it's $500. Man, look, there's a line of people that want it, and that's the way it is. Now, the question is now is how far are we sliding back down the scale of how if things continue to deflate in value or lose value, how far are we going back, or have we plateaued? And this is just the new normal of what prices do. Is modern just going to be the same way, where it's not all about base set and first editions and things like that, where we've matured to where there's different types of groups and everybody, a spectrum of people that buy everything in between all this, or we're going to go back to being modern is for the players and nobody cares about the actual value, and we're going to make boring arts again, and we're going to make these bland cards and nobody cares about. Or are we headed to where every freaking set they make better art, better looking cards, the mechanics are great, the player base is growing, the sets are more and more beautiful, there's more and more hype, there's more and more expensive products and premium products for people to buy. This is progression along the collectible scale. That again, for other people in different hobbies, this is the norm. This is how things are.
That's what it's supposed to be. Okay.
Supposed to be, again, it's a
in
frame.
the collectible space. In the collectible space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are we going to be where maybe sports are? Are we going to be to where sneakers are? Are we going to be like where retro video games are? With are we going to go back where it's kind of like a weird, graded versus not graded versus people that grade are not true collectors? There's a lot of people think that we bicker back and forth in Pokemon, and it's very unique to us. They all talk about this shit. Everybody's talking about the same shit. It's all the growth that we've had or the maturing we've had in the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Okay.
All things are the same way. True collectors of retro video games hate graded video games. Just like how,
because you can't play it.
Yeah, it's
not
not
play it.
You're taking the whole aspect of it. The thing that I love about this, and you're saying I can't do that with that thing.
Right.
Is it an invalid thought? No. But it's creating a void or a schism of people in the hobby. So they're either going to accept it and grow together and get better for it, or are we just going to separate, divide the buyer pool into these little sectors, and then everything just goes and just stays in flat lines or goes down? That's the way all collectibles are moving in an extent. But like, are we gonna be Funko Pops? Are we gonna be sports cards?
I don't think so.
Pick a side.
I think we're headed on the trajectory of sports cards, but we're, as you said, very far behind it. Very far.
We have made great strides to be sitting at the same table as them,
right?
But we're still sitting with the kids down at the other
yes.
side. With the adults are over here, and we're still sitting over there. We're at the same table. We're all still there, but we're sitting next to the cousins and the grandbabies and the young adults over there. And it's going to take us a little while to.
Very true.
We got to talk some politics to the uncle to get us to farther up the head of the table. That's just how it's
great. It's a great analogy. I love it. Well, and you mentioned it because ironically, it was my next question, and I wanted to know how you handle grading in your business. Are you just buying? Are you actually sourcing raw and grading yourself? How have you incorporated this?
I am doing both. I am very cautious about buying graded things. It's very difficult. I do sell some graded cards in the store. I just got the EVs that are drawn. They're very minimalist.
Nagabas?
Yes, the Nagabas. Yes, thank you. I got those, and they're in slabs, and they were CGC graded, and they got pristines. I love CGC's pristines label. I think it's the best looking label in the hobby. Comment in the chat if you think that's a hot take. I think it's great. But I was like, this is going to be interesting to see if these sell, because if anything's going to sell in the store, it's going to be EVs, right? Cool looking EVs, the highest grade possible from that grading company. It's going to be a great benchmark.
It's got to be visually appealing. Yeah.
I had 10 of them come in. I'm down to 1 left.
How long did it take you? A week or?
This was 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Well, it's been since Charlotte, so that's been 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I'm actually pretty impressed by that. And they sold for decent prices. So.
But you bought those raw and graded them yourself?
No, those came in.
Okay.
But I do have a little box where people send me, say, hey, these are good. This is a nice clean copy, and they put this in a little box. This is Mason's little box. It says cards to be graded. I know it's the green screen's messing with it, but it's that's my little box that people know to put good cards in. If you get any tag teams or anything cool, that's where it goes and it goes in that box before it goes out on the floor.
Okay. So then that's when you're looking at it. Okay.
So I send things off to PSA every once in a while, probably every 2 months or so. I might send a sub off.
Okay.
Just different stuff that comes in. It has been so rough to send like new products, like Scarlet and Violet era stuff, because it's just so bad. It's so bad quality. I just can't.
Right, yeah.
I can't. Because I did it with Scarlet and Violet. I was like, all right, cool. This is pre-release weekend. Nobody knows the rarity of it. Remember, guys, I didn't know shit from apple butter about the actual like value of these things and how common these cards were going to be.
Apple butter.
I was paying hundreds of dollars for like the Miriam Altar. I was like, all right, let's go. I'm going to grade it. I'm going to get it right back. It doesn't matter what I pay for it. I'll be first to market. Cool. I got absolutely destroyed. PSA 8s, PSA 7s, just
Lord,
just awful. Yeah. What's the first market of a PSA 7 worth? Like nothing, right? It doesn't matter. The person that's going to pay the premium is going to pay for the expensive one.
that's right.
So it doesn't
that's
matter.
Right.
So I got punished on that. So I was like, all right, so let's not do that anymore. But I do send. I'm sending off stuff that has good fundamentals. I'm doing the adult thing to follow the rules.
Tighten your tie.
Follow the SM Pratt tenets of things that look good and things that I would want to buy in a slab, right? It's the stuff that I send off. So
okay,
I'm learning. Needless to say, I'm learning. But people do come in and people do buy slabs. Where again, 5 years ago, nobody gave a shit. No one. If somebody brought graded cards in my store, I would not buy them because. But now it's part of the thing. People have collections. Okay. They have stuff in a binder. They have stuff in a box. Or in top loaders. Or in,
card savers, whatever.
Yeah, card savers.
Yeah.
Or and they have slabs. More and more, that's how collections are coming to me. So, and sealed product as well. People are because that's also sealed collecting wasn't really a thing. ETBs used to be like hated, and nobody wanted ETBs. Obviously now ETBs are people collect them and like them and have displays of them. So it's cool. But so yeah, kids come in and they want graded stuff. Hey, where's your graded stuff? Oh, I don't want that. That's a 9. I only collect 10s. All right, 10-year-old kid. All right then. Or they'll come in and say, "Hey, what's your cheapest slab?" Because I want, and I'm
this
sold
first one,
the first, their first PSA or CGC or whatever it is slab to somebody because it was $12, $15 or whatever it was, and it's just like, all right, here you go. Here's a God, what was like a I don't even know what it was. It was a bad Pokemon. It was like a Cordelia or something that was like from like an E series, and it's like, all right, here you go, kid. And it's a 7, and it's just really bad.
It's graded.
But there you go.
Congratulations.
There you go. And they're stoked. They were so happy. So it was fine. But so it's
a part of it, but still small.
Yeah, it's taking some time from both them and me to get to where I'm comfortable, and I expect those things to move. Right. A large portion of our sales of slabs are still on eBay, online.
Moves better that way.
And Collecticon. I mean, I've sold a ton of stuff at Collecticon of the cheaper stuff, just stuff that, God, I paid $2 on a terrible slab, but I got $9 for it at Collecticon. So
that sounds like good profit margins right there.
And
no shipping, no nothing.
If I didn't have to sit on it for 6 months, yeah, you'd be right. That'd be great. But yeah, that's how it was.
Tell us about Collecticon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
You mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I only saw maybe 5 minutes. I talked to you. We bought one of your 80 stuffies that you sold.
Thank you.
We got the Rayquaza for my little man.
Nice.
Yeah. How did it go? I mean, it was something you didn't want to really do. Obviously, you had some card troubles on the way in.
No, I believed in Collecticon because I know that the type of stuff that we have in our store is exactly the type of stuff that people want to Collecticon. Because I've seen, the stonk, the hype people, the whatnot, Carney Barker kind of people leave the hobby because, well, they're getting called out for scamming, and also that it's not where the money is at necessarily anymore, right? So we've gone back to, if you think of the common clientele of like what a Collecticon would be, it's going to be families, it's going to be young adults, it's going to be people that maybe have a little bit of disposable income, and it's the same type of people that come to my store and buy the stuff. They're going to want the anime stuff. They're going to want the slabs and singles and stuff like that. Obviously, still sure, but everything in my store is exactly the type of people that would be at the show. So
right.
we took the risk. We packed up everything and brought a big, nice sampling of everything. So we did very well. Zach was like, this is going to be a big waste of time. We're going to lose money. There's no way we're going to make our money back on the stuff. And even if we do sell stuff, would it not just sold at our store? You know,
right,
right. Would it be really worth it? Lo and behold, you know, I was vindicated. We did sell a lot of great stuff. We did sell a lot of things that we didn't expect to sell, which is always good. And
you had a nice setup. I mean, I liked your racks, and I mean, the whole setup there was almost like a little mini store. It's right inside of the.
That's the vibe that we like to do, and we want to do more, but we've been doing a lot of local shows and going like to Indianapolis and Cincinnati and you know, place like that local that we can do like little anime conventions and smaller stuff and have a nice setup where it is hangable and you can bring whatever, you know, like we brought a lot of D&D stuff to like a general, like, you know, Comic-Con kind of convention versus like at a Collecticon, you'd want to do more collectibles like statues and figures and plushies and stuff like that. So it's very, you know, based on who's going to be there. We try to cater to the audience a little bit, but yeah, we try to, with that kind of setup, you can bring anything. You can put shelves on it and you just, it's very modular. You can just do whatever you want. And it's great. So yeah, we love that whole setup. We're very happy with how it looks and what we can do with the space. So it's nice.
How did the profit turn out for you, you know, compared to in-store? Kind of back to your partner's point. I mean, obviously you didn't have the shipping that you would have had if you sold online, but versus in-store, did you make better margins?
It's always hard to really tell because when you go to a show, you take all your best stuff to the convention. So we'll have empty shelves and stuff in our store because we want to bring all, you know, show off, you know, all the good stuff. And we're kind of getting to where we want to have like a regular like convention inventory where we don't have to steal stuff off the shelves just because it makes the store look bad. But yeah, it's hard to tell because would we have made that same amount if we just stayed home and chatted in the store? I don't know. Shoot, I have no idea. But
maybe
the whole point of doing a convention is, you know, the word of mouth and getting advertising and kind of getting your stuff out there and your name out there to people that normally wouldn't. And again, if we had a good website, it would make sense to even do even more of these, but we don't. But you know, we're getting there. We're getting to where it's.
We believe you, Mason. I promise. We believe you. It's coming.
I promise. It's y'all don't understand.
Okay.
It's been
rough.
But yeah, that's part of the experience is the advertising, the supporting, the and we do local shows. We sponsor the programs and we get our names on the flyers and stuff like that. So we, you know, people, it's hard to believe, but not everybody knows that my store exists in my city. It's crazy.
I don't believe you.
But it's every day every week we have people that are like, oh, I didn't know you guys were over here. Shoot, man, if I'd known you guys were here, shit, I would have been here.
Wow. I have the same story with Joe. Joe, the one that hosted the trade night. He was there. He's my local LGS.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I didn't know he existed for a long time.
Yeah.
Didn't know. I drove by it. Didn't see it. Didn't see a sign. I used to go there for the chiropractor right next door.
See.
Didn't even know.
Yeah. So, and how'd you initially go in there? What, you were just?
I was in GameStop. I was buying some ETBs, and somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to this card store next." I said, "What card store?" I said, "Yeah, it's right over down the road." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, it's like 2 minutes from here." I'm like, "I'm going there right now." Put the ETBs back and walked over to LGS.
The GameStops here are some of our best advertising as well because they're like, "Oh, you have something that's broken? Oh, good. Take it to CardNAll. They'll fix it for you or whatever." Or do you want this whole console that we don't sell anymore? Yeah, go to CardNAll.
Yeah, they'll buy it.
It's great. So it's really a good experience when GameStop employees are recommending your store because when they get off, they go there and shop.
They go there instead.
So it's like, it's kind of like,
that's good stuff.
That's awesome.
That's good
stuff.
Chef, I had a question about which is the best Collecticon. Where do you think the best one is?
The best Collecticon is the one that I'm at. Duh. No, I have no idea. It just kind of varies, right? Like,
I heard Long Beach is really good.
Long Beach is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Orlando is probably also pretty. I mean, they're all great. They're all good shows. Kansas City, I don't know. Maybe not, but it seems like a lot of the CollectCon is doing well enough where they draw people in, right? And that's kind of the most the best part about CollectCons is that people are willing to travel for them. Vendors are willing to travel because their booths are so damn cheap. For first of all, like
it's $400 a table, right?
It's
was it 300, 400, 200, okay,
250 a table. That's cheap. I do local shows that are that much for like 4 tables. Yeah, it's just they're insanely cheap. And I guess CollectCon's biggest thing they always say is that if they go in a big or more expensive city, that they have to charge more. Do charge more. Like,
go for it.
Is the greatest deal. Like, I've spent more in a hotel and driving up there than I probably did on the tables. That's
awesome.
Charge more money. I'm all about it. That's fine.
Well, I've always actually wanted to know this, and sorry to interrupt you, but I was curious about the actual detail of the Collecticon setup, because your setup was completely different, minus a few tables you had in the middle. Did you have to buy the same number of table spaces in order to get that much space?
Yeah.
Or
so
how does that work?
So in this, like in Charlotte, we had just a great experience because we had all of our guys, all the pokey tubers and everybody want to be a part of it, right? And they were all going to go anyways. So, and people want to come and vend and hang out, even viewers and people that want to just have stuff that they want to sell. So we'd all got 5 sections. I bought a section, and then Wheels Warehouse bought a section. Old School Pokemon bought a section. Ray bought a section. What is it? Shining Collectibles, I think is what his name is.
Yeah, Shining Cards and Collectibles. Yeah.
Somebody else. It must have been Dan or Pokenomics. One of them.
Dan was there. Jake was there.
So we had all these section leaders, right?
And
all these people that bought the section. And then we sold the sections because you get a discount. If you buy the whole section, you get it cheaper.
Okay.
We were able to give everybody a cheaper rate and being all in the same section, and we'd all the same stuff anyways, right? So and you kind of give a homie hookup a little bit. So it's nice. It's a nice thing for the whole community to do together. So it's nice. So we had 5 sections, 50 people or 50 spots basically. My section was not completely sold out. I only had 2 people, 3 tables, so I had the whole kind of thing to myself. I didn't plan it that way, but that's just how it was. So we were able to build our section how we wanted, basically.
Okay.
But that's how it worked. That's why it was the way that it was. That I just didn't have all the people. I have all my sections sold out, but it's fine.
So you basically get assigned a space on the floor, but you don't have to erect a table. You can erect whatever you want.
Sure. Yeah. I don't. When most conventions do this, where it's not like you have a table. This is where you set up. They give you like a 10 by 10 or a 10 by 5 or whatever the dimensions are. And then you do whatever you want in that space. So, most people just because it's CollectCon is what it is. But if you go to like Gen Con or anything like that, people are doing all kinds of crazy stuff and all different kind of weird setups and like mazes and like kiosk setups and, displays and things like that. So, most other conventions, they have like a more open floor plan-y kind of thing, and you buy a middle section, you can do whatever you want. If you want to build a roller coaster in the middle of it, I guess you could, but I don't know how you would do that. But
a drop zone.
So it was nice. Like I said, we brought so much stuff, we can kind of feel the shape of the container that we had to be in. So this how it worked out too. I was curious because I saw your setup. I was like, man, this is really nice. Did he have to do something special? Did he have to pay more? Or he just got... Okay. Cool. You've said you've been at a few different places. Sure.
Collecticon was obviously not one of the most common ones that you do.
No.
Where else do you vend? What else do you do?
There is we always do... One that we always love to do is there's a local video game convention that we do. They're big on retro games, but it's an arcade expo, so they do arcade machines. People will bring in and like truck in a bunch of arcade machines, and then they'll do pinball as well, and do like tournaments and stuff through the whole weekend and stuff like that. So it's kind of like the same. Again, a lot of crossover, a lot of cool like people that are into like retro games and stuff like that. So we do that show every year. That's one of our favorite ones to do here locally. It's always in like springtime, and I think it's actually on Easter weekend this year. So we'll see how that goes. But we always do a big showing for that, and it's kind of cool. They actually do it like a retro video game museum where they have like old like consoles and stuff like that, and they have like little informational plackets, and you can play them and sit down and do something. Yeah, it's really cool. It's just a good vibe. It's like a good like just like hometown kind of vibe. So that's really cool show that we do. And then there's other places like just pop culture conventions. There's one called PopCon that is normally an indie. Indie PopCon is they've been going for 10 years, but they did one in Louisville this year because Louisville used to have a couple of decent conventions, but things happened.
Fell off.
Yeah, they just during the pandemic, everything completely stopped, obviously. But even before that, they were kind of struggling, and they were in disagreements because the Louisville event space is kind of all owned by the city and the fairgrounds.
Okay.
So every big vendor spot, you kind of have to like deal with that bureaucracy of it.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It just sucks. But
they said never
there's
mind.
not like a good like space to do them in, even though we have like a nice big convention center. It's just very expensive. So that's kind of a sad thing. But I went to Gen Con. I didn't vend at Gen Con, but that's kind of a different kind of convention. It's more of like a kind of like a trade show kind of thing. So it has like a lot of new games and like people like promoting like like Wizards of the Coast will have a booth there. There is like Troll and Toad and them like doing stuff there too. But it's kind of like more of like a demo kind of thing. You sit down and play games. You actually play. They have like they buy the football stadium next door where the Colts play in Indy, and they have the whole field. They just throw tables up there, and you can actually play on Lucas Oil Stadium's field and just play whatever games. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I was listening to somebody actually on one of Retro's podcasts before Collecticon, and somebody said they sat down with you and they played like for a couple of hours some board game. I forget what it was. Yeah,
me and Squeaks and
I think it was Squeaks.
Squeaks Game World. If for people that don't know who it is, if you don't know Squeaks, I don't know what you're doing watching me, but all right. But yeah, we met a couple people up there and we had a good time because they're local.
I think it was Squeaks that said that. He was on the podcast with Retro and a few others. Yeah. Good, man.
So that was cool. So I like doing conventions. They're fun. I enjoy them. I like vending them. It's the closest thing to like again, kind of like a carnival barker, kind of like kind of a vibe that I can do. So it's fun. It's fun to haggle and go back and forth with people. I kind of like. I don't want to say I like to give people a hard time, but if you want to ask for a discount, we got to go back and forth. It's not just like, hey, buddy, give me this. I got to give you something.
I can see the smile on your face as you say that.
It's just fun. That's
it just came right out.
It makes me it reminds me of like old CardNAll where people come in and be like, hey, if I get these 3, can you give me a deal? It's that kind of thing. So it's like I don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore. But at a convention, it's kind of
a little different.
We kind of work some stuff out. So it's just fun. It makes me reminisce for like I don't know, like the earlier times and just like the negotiation of bundling and selling things. It's just fun. It's a fun experience.
I like it. Again, it goes back to the fact that we should be having a yard sale type of business because it's all negotiation.
Cool. I think that'd be
put everything in brown boxes. Good to go.
In like a Chiquita banana boxes and just throw it all in there and yeah, absolutely.
A bin of random, graded cards.
Jeez. Yeah.
All right. So let's look at now coming into a couple of things. I did something fun with Brian, and I wanted to do it with you as well.
Oh, Sure. Yeah.
I tried it with him, and it was actually quite fun.
Oh no. Oh, I
No,
know.
don't
what it
worry.
is
Don't
now.
worry.
Oh,
We're not
God.
We're not building anything. We're not building anything. Not that one.
Okay.
Yeah, not that
That's
one.
fine. Cool.
So I'm gonna do some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
I want you to try to answer them in just a couple of words.
A couple of words. Okay.
Yeah, like 1 to 3 words if you can.
1 to 3. Okay.
Yeah. Favorite PokeTuber?
Oh man. You want me to explain why, or just say
No, just say it. We can come back to it.
PokeVault? I think is doing everything right now.
Okay. Last set you opened for your personal use.
Oh God.
Of Pokemon.
Something I opened for myself.
Yes.
I opened some Scarlet and Violet because I wanted the code cards from it.
Okay.
That's sad. That's sad.
Last card you bought for yourself, whether rated raw, doesn't matter. Last card you bought for your personal collection, even though it may be gone by now.
I bought some Umbreon and Darkrai GXs, the promos, because they were too cheap for what they were, and I was right because they're like $30 now.
Okay. Worst part about owning a business?
Employees and having to manage their lives. That's all. I mean, I'm trying to keep it short.
The best part?
Oh. Yeah, definitely just the community that you build that enjoys you and just enjoys supporting you because they understand that you provide them value.
Okay. Now this one you can go on as long as you want.
Oh wow. Okay.
Something you've done in the business that you've never told anybody.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep.
Something I did for the business?
Yeah, for the business that you haven't told anybody.
Oh God. The last time I bought people lunch, I said it was from the business, but it was me that I paid for it myself. Which is like so like, look at how Good Guy Mason, but that's just like that's the only thing that comes to mind because it was just so recent.
All right. Yep. Perfect. Let's go back to the PokeTuber, and those were it. So we're done with the rapid fire questions.
Sure.
What do you think PokeVault's doing right?
PokeVault is extremely entertaining.
Yeah.
He has a persona, but he's also very genuine. He is the Dr. Disrespect of Pokemon cards and Pokemon cards opening. And I think that as far as like, as somebody that watches a lot of content, not just Pokemon content, but content in general, Pokemon content can be so repetitive and boring and stupid and just not actually entertaining. I can open cards whenever I want. I don't have to watch somebody open. There's so many videos of people opening cards. Why do I want to watch a particular person? PokeVault does it in a way that it makes it entertaining and that it adds personality to it that makes it entertaining.
I agree. Yeah, I enjoy watching him. It's fun. He gets me cracking up every time. Yes. Vault Squad. Chef's on the Vault Squad, I think.
And he loves doing stupid stuff on a green screen, which I also enjoy.
Yeah, that is fun. I love the song. His song is stuck in my head now.
That's funny.
Dun, 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 dun. I mean, every time I hear it, I'm like, yeah, in the fire. Yeah, good stuff. I love it. All right, man. So we're gonna move into the personal section.
Oh God.
I thought you were gonna back me up.
I thought we were already there, but okay, we can go back.
No. You failed to back me up on the vocals on that one, Mason.
Well, sorry.
Don't appreciate that. All right. So, how has this store impacted your family?
Would you
Positive or negative?
Would you be surprised if I told you that my wife has never been in either one of my stores?
No.
No, that's not surprising to you.
No.
Wow.
No. I've seen a lot of that separation when it comes to business, but also especially Pokemon. Because anything, I mean, Danny told me his wife has never opened up a pack of Pokemon cards.
Which is crazy,
Never.
Right?
I can't believe that.
Danny's probably opened 40, 50,000 packs. Like, yeah, like crazy amounts, right? It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I inherited children, so all my children are older now and they're adults. So at 35, I'm an empty nester, which is absolutely okay with me. I'm okay with that. And my wife's older, so for better or worse, you know, she doesn't want to go out and do things. She's not going out, you know, she's not. We're not going and spending the weekends and running around and trying to do stuff or plant gardens or do anything crazy like that. The lifestyle that I live and that I enjoy, frankly, has made the business probably as successful as it is because I've been blessed with people that both understand what it means to be a business owner, but also they appreciate that when I'm not spending time with them, it's not because I don't want to, it's because I am trying to enhance their life. I guess is
well said. Yeah.
But that's like for everybody, right? And that's like it's hard to balance that type of thing. Like how many times can I scroll through a website or something I'm looking at? How many times can I scroll through that page for that week and be like, this is not adding any value to my life experience? Like I have taken great strides to shut things like that down, where I'm not scrolling through Facebook, I'm not scrolling through Instagram, I'm not reading Reddit posts and everything else. God,
yeah, cut it back. Yeah.
That could be still beneficial to my business, still beneficial to. It's not worth it anymore. And if it is worth it, there's so much bad information out there, or things that works for somebody else but wouldn't work for you, that it's not really worth it to continue doing all that.
Point of negative return at some point.
Yeah, and it's just it's not healthy.
Agreed.
And I've in the business maturing and me being able to step away from the counter and kind of do things in the back, I've learned that this will continue to run without me having to man it 24/7. Like I don't have to do that anymore, which is a very blessed place to be. But also, I should be enjoying the grinding that I've done for 8 years now. I should be able to sit back and enjoy that a little bit now and not have to be on 24/7.
Don't feel guilty. Right? Yeah, don't feel guilty when you're not there and not buying new inventory.
That's the actual, you talk about growth or like business growth. Are you as an owner growing? That's a very hard thing for somebody that's like me, where I feel like I have to do everything myself. Yeah. To be able to walk away and not do that.
To give away the control and know that it's going to be done differently, sometimes better, sometimes worse. And it's not going to be the way you did it, but to be okay with that and to trust the people that you have in those places. It's a tough place to go, and it's definitely a part of the growth journey for sure for any business owner.
Do you are you familiar with the Serenity Prayer?
No, tell me please.
It's a phrase. It's I think it's from a Bible verse. I don't know, but it's I'm not very religious, so I kind of modified it to myself. It's I have it written down.
Oh,
Actually,
please.
I just say, may I have the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two.
Yes. Yes. Okay. I have heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you once you know what it is. Yes, but that's I wrote it down because I want to take it to heart, and that's part of me releasing the reins a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
Willy Wonka giving away the keys to the factory a little bit, and trying to not be as invested because I don't need to be.
Right. Right. You can enjoy to your fruits of your labor, as we said.
Yeah.
You hear that, Rob? Hear that, Rob? Enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Rob's gonna
He's gonna grind himself into the ground.
yeah.
Well, the next one is, I'm curious, if you had the chance, Mason, would you do it again?
Man. Like knowing the
exactly what you know
crazy
now.
insanity that happened,
Mhm.
knowing that when I bought complete Neo sets in first edition in flawless condition for $80 a piece, that they would have been $10,000 a piece. Would I have not sold those for $500? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in a sense. Not that specifically, but yeah. I mean, would you go through this? I mean, it's a lot of heartache. It's a lot of hard times, a lot of stress.
It's a lot of yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Rob just said he got back from vacation. I am proud of you, Rob. That's
okay, Rob.
fantastic.
Yeah. If that's the truth, but I know that it is. I'm proud of you, man.
Vacation
like
is sleeping
half a day
8 hours.
off, or yeah,
that's his vacation.
He took half a day off.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. That's funny. That's so funny. Sorry, what were we talking about? One more time. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all right. Let's do it again. So, would you do it again if you had the chance?
No. Yes. Right. I would have done things very differently. I think, and this is just me. People do what they want. See it from whatever works for them. Whatever. I blinked. Do whatever they want. But I think people that, like the Dans of the world, that are sitting at home, spending time with their family, enjoying being there, doing things online, they are living a much more probably healthier life than anybody that runs any sort of game store. And we live in the age that you can have that type of setup work, and that we probably if I was to, I would probably just keep grinding and flipping and doing that on the side and doing that until if it made sense to ever leave a business or leave a 9 to 5. And that is both. I acknowledge that is probably the smart thing to do, but I also makes me sad because I would not have had the experiences that I had with the business.
Right.
Things would have been very, very different. Whether they have been better, I don't know. But
we'll never know. No.
Right.
But we're glad you're here, Mason.
Oh, well, thank you.
Glad you're here. Same to you, Rob. We joke and kid a lot, but we're glad you guys are here. Yeah.
I do it so you guys don't have to. That's right.
That's right. You have the kids come somewhere and buy those Pokemon cards. It's perfect.
Look.
All right. So, one of the last things I was thinking about on the personal side is what did it really cause you to regret? Because you had to give up a lot. We kind of touched on it a little bit already, and perhaps you feel like the question's already answered, but
yeah.
What is it that you feel like you had to give up that you really regret? Something through this journey that you look back on and say, man, that specific time, I wish I was doing this instead because I lost out.
Yeah. I mean, again, my wife being older and, being a self-employed person, you just don't have the securities that you have. Like working at TSA. I had great benefits. I had awesome,
Right.
healthcare. I had all that, they call it TSP, but it's basically, your 401k that you're putting stuff into, you got all that
Right.
going for you. I could have been there for 10 years now? That's halfway to retirement. I could have retired in 10 more years. And then had, then went and started a business like this maybe, or, whatever. That's the thing is like just the safety and the security that comes with a regular 9 to 5, or, I'm not in charge. It goes so far, and then I can move it up the chain to somebody else to have to deal with. Like I miss that type of security and like freedom of just not having to care. But that's a huge part of it, is losing benefits, having to struggle, having to worry about my employees' healthcare and my employees' health, and fighting for their family and making sure that they're being okay and making a decent living. Everything that I decide for the business is not just in my best interest anymore. It's for the collective 13 other people that work for me. Everything I do, I have people relying on me to make a proper decision. And that is something that I think about constantly. That's an ever-present thought in my mind, is like, if we do this and it goes bad,
what happens? Yeah.
There's 13 people that just lose their job and have to go do something else. I mean, I've had my managers buy houses and have children and, make these giant purchases that they rely on me for a paycheck and keep all these things that they have and they work so hard for. It's a huge amount of pressure.
Yeah.
That's beyond me just deciding what freaking Pokemon set to buy. Like that's the simplicity of that you think of when you say, oh, that's awesome. That's going to be an awesome thing to do. And then you don't have to worry about the HR aspect of, God, they're pregnant and they need healthcare, and employees have to subsidize that. And, what do we do? That's the real shit that sucks to deal with, and that I don't want to have to deal with. That's not why I signed up and want to open a store, but that's part of it. It's things you don't think about. So, that is the aspect of this that I do regret, is that there's just so much involved beyond
just the business itself. Yeah.
But again, the old serenity prayer, that's where it comes and pops in. Some things I can change, some things are out of my hand.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
To know the difference is what's important. So trying to live that way is becoming more freeing.
As he takes a deep breath.
Yes, absolutely.
Let me ask you this. We touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
Have you thought about what you're going to do when you retire? This is all done.
I think retiring
travel
is
the world?
so boring, and I think it sucks.
So
I cannot imagine.
To the end.
Yeah, why would I build? What's the point of all this? What am I doing here? If all I'm going to do is, whenever I hit an age, just walk away from it. Is that a dumb thing to think about? Is that a dumb thing to?
Not at all. You're striving for this, for a reason.
If I suppose if I had a buyer that said, "Hey, here's an amount.
Right.
I want to buy you out. Just keep it the same. Everybody stays employed. All your employees stay. Everything. Just I own it now."
You'd start over.
I'd be a snap decision. That'd be so easy. That's freedom. That is that's when you win capitalism. That's how you actually win. Is getting out with a paycheck.
Until
because
you
then I
have
can
to pay
just do the same
taxes
thing.
on
Go
it.
do it. I can go do it and be like a Dan. I can do that. That'd be so awesome.
But you'd still start a new one. You'd just be
Absolutely.
online only.
What else am I gonna do? Do I have any hobbies? Do I look like a person that has like gonna go rock climbing or whatever? No. This is what I'm built. This is what peak game store owner looks like.
That's peak performance right
This is
here.
as good as it gets. This is it. This is what I was built for. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But that's, I don't know what it is both extremely stressful, but also extremely like self-fulfilling. I guess is the only way to put it.
Yeah. It's
I don't
the
know what else
best
I
of
would
both
do.
worlds.
What else would I do? Sit around the house, play Civ 5 for another 500 hours? No. I mean, I'm still going to do that probably, but still, nobody wants to do that for a job or a living. That's dumb. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good answer.
That was a good answer.
I don't know.
Josh, you've been lurking for almost 3 hours, man. 3 hours.
Oh,
Now you...
card shop, come on. I do not have a rock climbing body. That is a true statement.
Well, we never know. You're always supporting the merch, man, so we can't tell. Maybe you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger under there.
Let me assure you, that is not the case. Let me just say that is not the case.
Well, we'll bring it to a peaceful close, my man. It's been a complete blast, and we just destroyed my past record. I think we hit just a little bit over 2 hours with Brian.
I feel like we didn't even get in the nitty gritty. We just started. Right? Like we were just.
We can go all nighter. I mentioned it on the Discord. We can go all nighter.
I should start a YouTube channel.
You should.
I should probably get it. I should probably get into that.
It's gonna be called Crocs and Socks.
Crocs and Socks. Subscribe now. Look it up. Don't look it up. I don't know if it's actually a thing. Don't actually.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't.
I don't know. If it exists, I don't condone whatever it is.
Yeah, I did not support that for sure. Yeah. All right. So this one, as you know, we close it with 2 questions.
Yeah.
And so the one I wanted to ask you is something slightly different. I didn't want to get into something too repetitive.
Throw me a curveball. Okay.
Well, kind of. Okay. So obviously you've been running the store. Your expertise is running this brick and mortar, surviving through the turmoil, the shark-infested waters, as we put it before. Now imagine somebody has tried to venture off and do the same for themselves, but they're in a pretty bad spot. They're probably looking at closure. Obviously, inventory's there, debt's there, and they're trying to figure out their way through it. What would be your advice to try to help them navigate to a plateau of success? How would you try to give
turn
a couple
their
of
business
pointers?
around?
Yes. What would be the things you would try to think about to help that person, that business owner that's struggling? Don't worry, Rob, it's not you.
I feel like that's me. You were talking about me here. But
oh, good. So you have a plan.
Do I? If I had a plan, do you think I'd have all this bulk in my back? Do you think? God.
That's your TC direct inventory, man. We know that.
I would say to them, look, man. Yeah, you're in a rough spot. This sucks. But if they wanted to continue and keep it going, I would say you have to lean on the things you're good at and support the people that support you. It's the only way that you're going to survive and get out any sort of hole. Oftentimes, businesses see their best customers and they see the dollar signs and they see them as a blood sack to suck from, right? If you were a vampire, let's say. I would say to those people, like, some of the best ideas and things that I've come with up about the store is having just conversations with those type of people, and again, hiring those type of people that I enjoy having in my store and appreciate my store. I want to know everything about them and why. Why do they enjoy my store? So that I can make it even better, right? Or change the things that they don't. So look at the things that are working and either enhance, push that further, see what more you can do, or take the people that are doing well for you and figure out how you can do more for them to provide even more of a better service or a better environment, or to cater to them some more. And I think that oftentimes we find that if you have a core group of people that really love you and really support you and really enjoy what you're about, it's so much easier to grow and expand from that, as opposed to trying to come up with an idea by yourself and then throwing it out there and then just hoping that people latch onto it.
Right.
So that's what I would tell them, is that you need to play to your strengths. Anything else that's not making you money, knock it off. Because if you're not making money, it's losing you money. And stick to your fundamentals. Stick to the stuff that you know that you do well, and do it just as good as possible.
Right. Reminds me of the quote, build something small, make it great, then scale it. Don't try to build something huge and then try to get people in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I like that answer. That was a good one. So we'll end it with the typical one. One day we will. I know you'll probably do it until the end, but one day you will leave the hobby. And what legacy, Mason, do you want to leave in this hobby when you're gone?
I do think about this a lot, actually. So this is kind of like a good little thing that because again, when I'm sitting here late at night, I'm like, okay, I have like that surreal moment of like, what the hell am I doing? What am I doing this for? Like, why am I here? Why am I sitting in this chair looking at deck boxes at midnight when I should be home playing Civ 5 with a cat in my lap? And then I think of like the experiences I had with my kids and growing up and having them, and my son, again, who's an adult, said that how awesome that was that I did that, as I say inherited father, stepfather to him, for him to say that, some of those were the best moments that he's ever had growing up, or greatest memories that he had growing up, and that those types of experiences made him really appreciate having a family and having me as a stepfather. I think if my business can provide a place for those types of people in similar situations, or maybe, any such sort of situation,
right?
And if I'm improving their lives and allowing them to make a memory, or allowing them to have a better experience together, enjoy themselves, and remember fondly, that's the big payoff. That's the real reason this exists. This is why this store exists. Making money is awesome. Again, when it happens and when you can do it, it's awesome. But I knew going into this I wasn't gonna be a millionaire, and that I opened a store because I liked the idea of providing that type of experience to someone, or to people.
Right. Given that opportunity to create what you also got to create.
Yeah. I want people to be like, man, remember going up to CardNAll and playing or doing whatever and looking at the cards or buying packs? That was awesome. If I can have that, that'd be awesome.
I love it. That was great. I love that, Mason. Well, I must say, this was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. We'll definitely have to do it again.
I appreciate you having me on, reaching out. I'm sorry it took so long, but
it's all right.
I think the payoff was worth it. Again, we could probably go for another 3 hours, but if you say it's time to leave, I guess I'll have to go home now. So
I'm helping you and you're helping me, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, everybody, as always, we deeply appreciate also you spending your time with us here at Pokemon Wonder.
Look at this. iPhone was here. Mr. Wallace is still here. All these people. 3 hours later.
I know. 22 hours. So 22 people, I should say.
Still here.
It's been awesome. Great. I've enjoyed it. It's been a great time, and really do appreciate you as well, Mason. It's not easy taking the 3 hours of your day, but I really do appreciate it. You can catch up on your cat petting time and inventory planning tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
And And if anybody doesn't have them already, we got all the socials. Don't worry, the website will be updated soon. We've covered that. So, but everything else is in the description below. Make sure you check out all of Mason's socials and his website. And if you're local, stop by, say hi, and we'll catch everybody on the next one. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.